Okay, good evening, everyone. We will call to order the regular meeting of the Folsom City Council for Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Council members Rohrbach. Here. Kozlowski.
Here.
Leary.
Here.
Rathel.
Here.
And Aquino.
Here, and if you'd all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, do we have any agenda updates, Mr. City Attorney?
No update tonight, Madam Mayor.
Okay, then we are going to take things a little bit out of order, and we are going to start with the scheduled presentations. If the clerk would please introduce those.
Your first scheduled presentation this evening is item number 1. This is a resolution of commendation honoring Police Chief Rick Hillman for his outstanding service to the city of Folsom. Come on down, Chief.
Okay, I'm just going to do it with the original here. All right, well, this is a resolution of commendation honoring Police Chief Rick Hillman for his outstanding service to the city of Folsom. And whereas Police Chief Rick Hillman is retiring after an esteemed career in law enforcement spanning nearly 4 decades, including 30 years of dedicated service with the Folsom Police Department, and whereas Chief Hillman has honorably served as Folsom's police chief since April of 2018, leading a team of 125 employees and 50 volunteers with professionalism, integrity, and a steadfast commitment to public safety. And whereas throughout his tenure, Chief Hillman advanced proactive policing strategies, prioritized community engagement, and implemented innovative programs to enhance transparency, accountability, and service delivery. And whereas he championed the creation of the Homeless Outreach Team, led the implementation of body-worn and in-car cameras, developed the problem-oriented policing team, and made significant strides in officer wellness and trauma support. And whereas Chief Hillman served as an advisor to the Folsom Police Foundation, helping foster positive community relations and support youth-focused programs, and whereas he has represented the department and the city of Folsom at the highest levels, serving on the California Police Chiefs Association Board of Directors and numerous state and national advisory committees, reflecting his leadership and expertise within the profession. And whereas Chief Hillman began his career with the Folsom Police Department in 1995, serving with distinction in various roles, including canine handler, SWAT officer, field training officer, and in leadership positions across multiple divisions. And whereas Chief Hillman's career has been marked by a deep commitment to public service, strong community partnerships, and an unwavering dedication to keeping Folsom a safe place to live, work, and visit. Now, therefore, I, Sarah Aquino, Mayor of the City of Folsom, on behalf of the Folsom City Council and the residents of this community, hereby extend our sincere appreciation and gratitude to Police Chief Rick Hillman for his exemplary service, leadership, and contributions to the Folsom community, and wish him all the best in his well-earned retirement. Commended this 24th day of June, 2025. I'm going to invite up Peter Gemilaro from Congressman Kevin Kiley's office, and then once we do that, we're going to get a picture with all of these beautiful grandkids and children from the Hillman family, okay? Peter, come on up.
Thank you, Mayor, and I thank the council for allowing us a few moments tonight. Chief, the congressman's in Washington, but he asked me to come by tonight and just wish you well. You know, he appreciates your dedication and service and keeping the community, helping keep the community safe. It means a lot to all of us. And on behalf of Congressman Kevin Kiley, just know that our doors are always open, and he wishes you well. And he asked me to present you with an official United States House of Representatives congressional record. Congratulations, Chief.
Would you like to say a few words?
I like to say a few words. So I'm a man of few words, but I will just thank my wife of 39 years. She's been with me through all of this. So I give her the biggest round of applause because she stuck with me through not just being a chief, but being a cop where you're working at night, weekends, holidays. So thank you. And to my children, grandchildren, thank you. They're always there for me too. And this is the reason I do it. It's all about family. I couldn't have done this job without great support from my staff. A lot of them are in the back. My assistant, Tracy, who's always there for me. But all the commanders, lieutenants, and the rest of the staff here at the police department and the city. Our executive management team works hard to keep this community safe and well served. I have enjoyed working here. It's been a great place. It's an easy place to police because it is such a great community to live, work, and play. I do live here. I've enjoyed working here. I'll continue to live here. I just thank the community for accepting me and having me as your chief for the last 7 years. It's been just an honor. Thank you.
All right, I don't see an official city photographer, so Commander Bates, maybe you could help us out a little bit? You're in the front, sweetheart. Okay. All right. Okay, where's Commander Bates?
All right, my turn. Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Woo!
You're welcome to stay for the budget meeting, Hillman family. But if you want to go out to dinner, we'll understand.
I know you won't miss me. So, thank you all.
Okay, our next item this evening is item number 2. This is a proclamation of the mayor proclaiming July 3rd to 5th as Western Rodeo Days in the city of Folsom.
Come on up. We got Charlie. This is our rodeo queen. Okay. All right, this is a proclamation of the mayor of the city of Folsom proclaiming July 3rd through 5th, 2025 as Western Rodeo Days in the city of Folsom. Whereas the city of Folsom proudly recognizes Folsom's Western heritage and acknowledges the benefits of preserving the traditions and customs of the city's history. And whereas for over 60 years, the Folsom Pro Rodeo has been a beloved tradition, bringing together rodeo enthusiasts, families, and the Folsom community for unforgettable experiences. And whereas the rodeo began out of love for Folsom's rich Western heritage and as a way to honor the family-run cattle ranches which created the community. And whereas this year's event at the Dan Russell Arena marks the 64th anniversary of the Folsom Pro Rodeo, and whereas event highlights include traditional rodeo events such as saddle and bareback bronc riding, steer wrestling, team roping, barrel racing, bull riding, performances by the Painted Ladies Drill Team, Flying Cowboys Motocross, rodeo clowns, nightly fireworks, mutton busting, and live music in the saloon under the stars. And whereas in honor of the traditional patriotic theme, the Folsom Pro Rodeo will celebrate with in-arena spectacular fireworks. And whereas the Folsom Pro Rodeo involves the assistance of hundreds of volunteers and a tremendous amount of community support. Now therefore I, Sarah Aquino, on behalf of the city of Folsom, do hereby proclaim July 3rd through 5th, 2025 as Western Rodeo Days in Folsom and call upon all citizens to join in the festivities celebrating the Folsom Pro Rodeo. Proclaim this 24th day of June, 2025.
the Grand Marshal has yielded his time to me to speak on behalf of the Folsom Pro Rodeo. My name is Taryn. I'm one of your MCs for the Folsom Pro Rodeo this year, and we are so grateful to the city's partnership above everything. We have been doing this for 64 years. That is the longest running regional event. Can we put our hands together for that? That's a huge, huge win. We are so grateful to not only the city, but to all the humans that are here today. It is because of you we're able to do this. Mayor Aquino said some great stuff. You can look forward to the saddle bronc, the bull riders, but we also have bull jumpers this year. A man will run towards a bull and jump over him. Yes, you'll have to come see it for yourself. It is fantastic. Outside of that, I would love to take just a minute to thank the city for your continued partnership, and we'd like to invite you all July 3rd or 4th. 4th or 5th. The 4th or 5th. The 3rd is sold out. So, City Council, on behalf of the Folsom Pro Rodeo, you're formally invited the 4th or the 5th to come out to the Folsom Pro Rodeo and join in. We're also looking for volunteers. I'm sure Haley back there would appreciate that. We still need some volunteers for the 4th and the 5th, but I'm, again, so grateful to what everyone has come out here to do, and that is to continue to support this. And a big shout out to our Grand Marshal and our Folsom Pro Rodeo Queen, Ms. Parker Cliff. She has gifts for all of our City Council members. So you can, Parker, if you want to go ahead and pass those out to our council members right now. And thank you all for coming out. Please join us July 3rd, 4th, and 5th. 3rd sold out, 4th and 5th, and we're always looking for volunteers. And I'm so grateful this year, but also especially grateful because the Grand Marshal next to me is my dad, Charlie Gross. And council, one last formal invite on Monday, June 30th. We invite all of you to join us at the partner kickoff at Crawdad. So to start, yeah, thanks, one enthused council member, all right. Please join us. And Mayor, thank you so much for continuing to support this tradition.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that takes us back to business from the floor. This is the public's opportunity to address the council on items that are not on the agenda. But please understand that state law prohibits us from deliberating or taking action on items not on the agenda. If you'd like to speak now or during any part of the meeting, we ask that you fill out a blue speaker card and give it to the officer over here. I think we have one request to speak.
You do. One request to speak this evening under business from the floor from Sherry Richter.
Good evening.
So,
Pull
good
that
evening.
microphone right down to your mouth. There you go.
I pretend like I'm really tall. I strive. Good evening, Mayor Aquino, council members, and city manager. My name is Sherry Richter. I've lived in Folsom for 4 years now. I'm currently the president of the Docent Council for the Zoo, also one of the 1,300 members of the Friends of the Folsom Zoo. In addition, I'm a CAPS volunteer through the police department, and I volunteer also as an usher at the Harris Center. So I have embraced Folsom, and I love the community. I love what they offer the community. I love living here. But today, I am here to let you know that the animals at the zoo have been really, really busy working on their portfolio for an upcoming art show at the art gallery next door. They especially enjoy doing this enrichment because they get to use non-toxic paint, and then they get a spa treatment with a bath after their work is done. Artwork like this one from Henry, we've got tossed salad over here, and we have proud to be an American black bear, that is, over here. So artwork like this will be displayed and will be available for purchase. As you can see, he's probably the Picasso of the bear world, but just about every animal in the zoo has worked really hard with some kind of artwork that will be displayed at this event. I would like to invite you, as well as the rest of the community, to the free reception this Friday from 6 to 8, and where you can enjoy live music, refreshments, and an evening of art while enjoying the annual animal-created art, and who knows, possibly bring some home with you as well. All proceeds will go towards the zoo. For those who cannot attend the reception, on Friday, the exhibition will run from June 27th through August 13th. I hope you will all be able to stop by, and just to entice you to come, the animals have made small original creations for you to take home tonight. Yeah, hold on. I have one. You each get a Draco. He's one of our hybrid wolves. And we have one from Radagast, who is our Rosie Boa. So we will pass those out. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Okay, that takes us to our consent calendar. I know we're going to pull item 5. Does anybody need to pull anything else? Then we will entertain a motion to adopt items 3, 4, and 6.
I'll move to adopt the consent calendar 3, 4, and 6.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Council members Rohrabaugh?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
Leary?
Yes.
Rathel?
Yes.
And Aquino.
Yes. All right, item 5.
Yeah, item number 5 is resolution number 11406. This is a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Mesa Energy Services for $372,516 from the general fund for the Folsom Community Center and Rotary Clubhouse commercial kitchen equipment replacement.
Good evening, Tom.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Tom Hellman with the Parks and Recreation Department. Of most recent update, as of earlier this afternoon, in communicating with Mesa Energy Services, they have brought forth an adjusted proposal for this work, which would include the work as indicated in the scope, so the scope hasn't changed, of the replacement of all the kitchen equipment at both facilities for $339,739, roughly a little over $15,000 cost savings there, bringing it down. 5% contingency we feel is adequate enough for this project at $16,987 for a new total of $356,726.
Okay. Any questions for Tom?
Just a quick one. That contingency, was there a contingency built into the original number? Because it's a direct contract, right, for the install of the equipment?
In the original staff report, there was a contingency built into that, yes, of the same 5%.
Same 5%?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, Mayor, members of the council, if I could add, this is kind of an interesting process, as it was rated 25% on the cost and 75% for the technical area. And so when you look at the bids, the original numbers, we had Mesa Energy at $354,777, Douglas Equipment at $328,446.12, Federal Supply at $319,125.33, and then HCI at $317,308. And so we bring this to your attention. It's kind of a unique process in that when you look at the ratings, based on the scoring, Mesa Energy came in first, and then Douglas Equipment came in second. And so Mesa was actually the highest amount. And so we appreciate the effort of staff to reach out to them to see if they can adjust the costs. And they came down. One of the things that happened as you transfer over to a new month, they just got updated pricing. So although they dropped the price down, the cost of the equipment went up. So this is actually a pretty significant deal for us to kind of look at that standpoint. But the question really is, when you look at Douglas, it's still at $328,000. One of the things that we haven't been able to figure out yet, we haven't been able to get in communication, is if their prices have gone up. I would assume that their prices have gone up now, but we haven't confirmed that. So that's one of the things that we have to talk about today is, especially related to the community center and the Rotary Clubhouse, is we've identified a week where this work has to be done because they're heavily utilized. People have events and things planned, so we want to make sure that we can get this done and get it scheduled. And so we've had some discussions with the week, during the week, that maybe we would recommend Douglas Equipment, the number 2, because it's a lower cost. With the information we have now, with Mesa reducing the cost, and then the actual amounts, since this is a request for proposal and not a bid, the price is based on what the materials will be. And so if that changes, these bids for all of them will change. And so we've tried to get as much information as we can. And so that makes it not as clear cut as far as going with the lowest one, because we don't know if that's the final price. I don't know, Tom, did I explain that right?
That is absolutely correct.
Can you repeat what amount they came down?
I think it was 339,739
Okay.
with
Yes.
plus a contingency.
Which is a $15,038 decrease in their price.
Okay.
So Brian, back to your, so when they give us these bids, are these prices not good for a certain amount of time, like 30 days or 60 days?
So
or
it's
something?
different than a hard bid.
Okay.
And you know, it's my understanding that they held the price for a certain amount of time, and then those adjust. So we're assuming that would happen with these others. This other company is out of state. We've reached out throughout the day to try to get a number, and so we don't necessarily have the additional information. And so we're kind of in a conundrum in that we don't know if their price will change. So if we go with them, the 328, I mean, could be, did you say it's 339 now, so 11,000 less? But if their costs have gone out, it shrinks it a little bit. So I wish we had more finalized numbers for you, but this is something that has been kind of fluid as the days go on.
So is there another process for doing this other than going out with an RFP? Because I think we recently had a similar situation where someone for play equipment submitted a late proposal, and I'm not sure if they all have deadlines. And then when you're trying to plan this around a time frame that has already been set for not using the community center.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think
I want to know if there's something more flexible to be done.
Yeah. So all of these companies actually submitted on time. It was just as we evaluated the proposals and looked at the numbers, and I'll just be honest, this is kind of an awkward scoring system, and it's probably a process that we won't follow any longer. You know, so I mean, the attempt was to get the highest technical company that we have, but when you're putting in the kitchen equipment, our review of these is they look to all be very respectable companies with good experience. And so our goal was to try to get the lowest cost, and that's why we're leaning towards at least the number two. But with the cost change and then the cost reduction, we're moving forward. But everyone submitted information on time. The only change is because we proactively asked Mesa to see if there was any movement in their price.
Thank you.
May I comment?
Yes.
So in my regular life, I compete, the company that I work for, we compete with Mesa Energy, aka MCOR Services. And it pains me a little bit to say that they actually are extremely qualified to do this work. The attempt by the staff to make a best value judgment of who to use for this work, I think, was the right one. And as anybody who's been involved in construction knows, you can control two of three things: the time, the cost, or the quality, right? And in this particular instance, we're trying to balance those things, but we don't have a lot of flexibility on the time. Mesa is a perfectly capable company. The price is not dramatically higher than the others, and I'm confident that they'll deliver the project effectively. So I'm okay with it for whatever that's worth.
Would you like to word that in the form of a motion, or you have a question, Vice Mayor Rethel? All right. Someone like to make a motion?
I'll move that we approve Resolution 11406 at the revised pricing that was provided by the staff.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmembers Rohrbaugh,
Yes.
Kozlowski.
Yes.
Leary,
Yes.
Rethel.
Yes.
And Aquino.
Yes. All right, next item, please.
All right, that takes you to your first public hearing item this evening. This is the City of Folsom Community Facilities District Number 20-1, Russell Ranch 2. Before you tonight, you have 4 resolutions and an ordinance. They are Resolution Number 11408, 11409, 11410, 11411, and then ordinance 1352.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Stacy Tamani, Chief Financial Officer. Tonight is the second presentation in the process to create this new Community Facilities District 20-1 Russell Ranch 2. For some background information, CFD 20 Russell Ranch was established by the City Council in 2017 to support the construction and acquisition of certain public improvements for properties that are within that district. And the district overall spans approximately 438 acres and has planned development of just over 1,000 residential units. The estimated total public improvement construction cost is $108 million, and the CFD was set up to partially fund backbone and subdivision infrastructure and soft costs. Previous bond issuances for CFD 20 as a whole include $13.2 million issued in 2018 to fund improvements acquired from the new home company, and $11.2 million issued in 2020 to support improvements acquired from Lennar Homes. The city received a request from Lennar Homes to form an overlay district, which is what is before you tonight, and the district will be called CFD number 20-1 Russell Ranch 2. The new CFD will provide funding to help fund a portion of the CFD 20 subdivision infrastructure. CFD 20 overlay includes only a portion of the property within the original CFD number 20 boundaries, and we have a map on the next slide. The CFD includes just one parcel, and it encompasses Phase 2, Village 5 of the Russell Ranch development. CFD development will include about 118 multifamily low-density units. And as of April 30th, no building permits or certificates of occupancy had been issued. On the left side here, you have the proposed boundaries of CFD 20-1 within the CFD 20, and it's just showing this one parcel. And then on the picture on the right shows the location on the corner of White Rock Road and Empire Ranch Road. Maximum special tax rates for this area are based on building size of the unit, and they'll range from about $1,300 to $1,500 per unit. Maximum special tax rates will increase annually by 2%, and there's no special tax components for maintenance services related to this overlay. Special tax can be levied and collected through fiscal year 64-65, and bonded indebtedness limit will be at $3.5 million for this overlay CFD. Excluding this overlay, the estimated tax rate for developed residential property within Village 5 is at approximately 1.6% currently, and with the inclusion of CFD 20-1, the total projected tax rate for developed residential property will be at 1.8%. So that's in compliance with the city's policy. On May 13th, the City Council approved resolution number 11374, and you also approved resolution number 11375. And so tonight, for the council's consideration, we have resolutions that will form CFD number 20-1, authorize the levy of special taxes, deem it necessary to incur bonded indebtedness, call for a special mailed ballot election, declare the results of the special mailed ballot election, and the City Council will also hear the introduction and first reading of the ordinance to levy special taxes for CFD number 20-1. And with that, we'll move into the process here.
I'm going to ask a quick question. So Stacy, this is currently just one parcel.
Correct.
Well, how many people are voting on this election?
Just one, the current landowner.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. Any questions for Stacy?
Are we holding the election tonight, right now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No, but I liked the murmur in the crowd. That was pretty funny.
Councilmember Leary, any questions?
So this was an annual payment of $1,280 to $1,534, depending on lot size?
Go back to that slide for you. Yes, so it'll be $1,280 to $1,500 per unit.
And are there other encumbrances on these properties?
There'll be this CFD, and they're also included in CFD 18.
And how much is that annually?
I don't have the amount per parcel here for CFD 18. But in total, they'll be under the maximum tax rate of 2% for sure, and 1.8% at this time. So 1.8% will be their total tax rate.
Okay. Yeah, I recognize all of these decisions are made by the one property owner as we move along through these developments, correct? Yeah. And I'm guessing that they're similar to the rates that people around them are paying. It's a difference of 0.2%?
Correct. The 1.8%, which they're trying to get to with this overlay is what the other areas around them have in other CFDs.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions to my right? Okay, then it is time to hold the public hearing on the formation of the City of Folsom Community Facilities District Number 20-1, also known as Russell Ranch 2, and related matters. Oh, that's still me. City Clerk, has notice of this hearing been given in accordance with applicable law?
Yes, notice of this hearing was published once in the Folsom Telegraph on June 13th, and notice was mailed to the landowners within the district on June 4th.
Okay, the public hearing is now opened. At this time, all interested persons may approach the podium and testify for or against the formation of the district. Do we have any requests to speak?
You have no request to speak on this item.
Okay, and I see no one coming forward, so we will close the public hearing. City Clerk, does a majority protest exist?
No written protests have been received, therefore a majority protest does not exist.
Okay, at this time, because a majority protest does not exist, it is appropriate for the City Council to consider resolutions to form the district, to declare the necessity to incur bonded indebtedness within the district, and to call a special election within the district. So I will entertain a motion, 4 separate motions, right? For those different resolutions.
I'll move resolution 11408 for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Council members Rohrbach?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
Leary?
Yes.
Raythel?
Yes.
And Aquino.
Yes. Would you like to do another one?
I'll move resolution number 11409.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Council members Rohrbach?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
Leary?
Yes.
Raythel?
Yes.
And Aquino.
Yes.
I'll move resolution number 11410.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Council members Rohrbach?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
Leary?
Yes.
Raythel?
Yes.
And Aquino.
Yes, and pursuant to the resolution calling a special mailed ballot election within the district, the election is now open and the clerk may conduct the election. City Clerk, have you received the ballot from the landowner in the district?
Yes, I received the ballots from the landowner in the district. And finding that all ballots in the election have been submitted, I declare the election closed.
Will the clerk proceed to canvass and announce the ballot results?
The canvass of ballots is as follows. 13 votes were cast in support of the measure and 0 votes were cast in opposition to the measure. Therefore, the measure was approved with a 100% vote in favor.
Okay, then we can entertain, Councilmember Leary, I think it's your turn. We can entertain a motion to
I was
adopt
getting ready
resolution
for
number
that.
11411.
Yeah, I'll move resolution number 11411, resolution of the City Council of the City of Folsom declaring election results in the City of Folsom Community Facilities District number 20-1, Russell Ranch 2.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Council members Rohrbach?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
Leary?
Yes.
Raythel?
Yes.
And Aquino?
Yes. And I will go ahead and do this one. I will move introduction and first reading of ordinance number 1352.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Council members Rohrbach?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
Leary?
Yes.
Raythel?
Yes.
And Aquino.
Yes. All right. Thank you very
Thank you.
much for that. Next item, please.
All right, that moves you to new business this evening. Item number 8 is resolution number 11403. This is a resolution initiating proceedings for the formation of an L&L district to be known as the Natoma Station Maintenance Assessment District, number 2025-2.
Good evening, Jameson.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'm Jameson Larson, Senior Management Analyst for the Parks and Recreation Department, and I will be presenting information on the Natoma Station Landscaping and Lighting District and the Prop 218 process. The resolution before you is the first step in the Prop 218 process. So for some background, Folsom has 30 lighting and landscape districts that maintain assets that provide a benefit to the residents of the district. These assets include landscaping, streetlights, monument signage, artwork, mini parks, as well as other assets. All L&L districts are formed pursuant to the Landscaping and Lighting Act of 1972 and the California Constitution. Folsom has districts that range in size from 10 to 2,370 units. Most districts within the city, including Natoma Station, were formed prior to the Prop 218, which was in 1996. The map here shows the boundaries of Natoma Station, as well as their landscaping and mini parks. There are many other assets that the district maintains, though. Here is a list of the major assets that the district maintains. It includes 9.37 acres of streetscapes, 9 acres of open space, over 10,000 linear feet of 6-foot sound wall, and over 350 streetlights. The table here varies slightly from the costs that will be presented in the final engineer's report on July 8th. This is due to the timing of the staff report submittal and the budget changes requested by the council at the June 10th meeting. The district is projected to have an operational deficit of $104,000 in fiscal year 25-26. This includes $10,000 in planned spending to complete the Prop 218 process and $101,000 to maintain current landscape service levels as directed by the council. Natoma Station has a negative account balance of $729,000 as of April 30th, 2025. This district recently had the opportunity to complete the Prop 218 process in March, and a majority protest existed with the vote at 49.65% for and 50.35% against. The preliminary engineer's report recommended cuts of approximately $100,000, which included removing all landscape maintenance services. The council has directed staff to continue with landscape maintenance while the residents vote in the Prop 218 process. The district has approximately 1,857 single-family equivalent units, so that $729,000 equates to approximately $393 per unit. If the deficit were paid back over a 10-year period, the cost per single-family equivalent would be approximately $33 annually, or $2.75 a month. And if the deficit was paid back over a 15-year period, the average cost per single-family equivalent would be approximately $26 annually, or $2.18 per month. The 10 to 15-year periods were used for reference purposes. A payback period has not been established yet. Here's a brief explanation of the L&L Act of 1972. Essentially, the act allows local governments to form L&L districts to fund specified services such as landscape maintenance, street lighting, and maintenance of other items as identified. As identified in the resolution of formation. The Prop 218 Right to Vote on Taxes Act amended the California Constitution to require constitutional voter approval requirements for all local government taxes, which did not previously exist. Requires voter approval when government impose extended or increased taxes, and districts can be formed under normal balloting procedures with a simple majority of weighted votes cast to form, or a simple majority of weighted votes cast opposed for a majority protest. The votes are weighted by assessment amount. The assessment amount per parcel is established in accordance with Prop 218, which is not prescriptive in the method of apportionment, but requires that each parcel be assessed in relation to the special benefit the parcel receives. We have received feedback from the community on the method of apportionment and have asked the consultant to look at the method and provide additional justification on the methodology chosen in the next engineer's report. The Prop 218 process is a 3-step process. The first step we are completing today, which is the resolution initiating proceedings. And then step 2 is the resolution approving the preliminary engineer's report, declaring the intention to form, to levy and collect assessments, providing notice of public hearing, and directing the mailing of assessment ballots and setting the public hearing. I don't know if I said that one already. And then step 3 is the public hearing itself. And that will be accompanied by a resolution declaring the results of the Landscape and Lighting Assessment District ballot proceedings, approving the final engineer's report, confirming the diagram of assessments, and ordering the levying of assessments for the maintenance and servicing of improvements within said district. There is a 45-day period between steps 2 and 3 while the votes are out. And then in the next few slides, we'll go through the outreach, communications, and legal processes that have taken place to date and those that will be completed going forward. So in June of 2022 and March of 2024, staff held community meetings to provide information to the residents of Natoma Station on the current issues facing the district and the Prop 218 process to create a new district. In December of 2024, staff continued outreach with postcards to all property owners within the district and placed over 20 yard signs at intersections with relevant information and a QR code to the LNO webpage. In January, the council approved the resolution initiating proceedings, and at the following meeting, the council approved the resolution approving the preliminary engineer's report and setting the public hearing. On February 6th, ballots were mailed to the property owners within the district. And in February, postcards were sent to all property owners. And in March, we held the public hearing and tabulated the ballots. In April, the results were presented, and the Prop 218 proceedings were abandoned due to a majority protest. Throughout May, we placed new yard signs and sent out postcards and held 2 community meetings. And then throughout June, there has been increased communications with district residents and updates to the LNL website. I want to thank the city communications staff for their support in providing timely information to the residents. The next 2 boxes with the green borders are what we are completing today with this presentation and the resolution being considered. And then from here, the boxes with orange borders represent the work that remains to be completed. Following this meeting, there will be new information communicated to the residents. The engineer's report will be created and presented to the council in August. And this will be followed by additional communications, the mailing of the ballots, updated postcards, yard signs, and a community meeting to review the engineer's report with the community and answer any questions. We will hold a second community meeting to discuss the engineer's report and answer questions, followed by additional communications to update the FAQs that were received at the meetings and through emails and phone calls. We plan for the public hearing to be held in October, with the results being announced at that meeting or the following, depending on the time it takes to tabulate the ballots received. And then the final step will be postcards and electronic communications to the property owners to let them know the results of the proceedings. And with that, staff recommends the City Council approve Resolution 11403. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
And so if it does pass this next time, the assessment wouldn't happen until a year later, right? Because don't you get your property tax bill in like October for the next 2 installments?
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Okay. Questions down here?
I'd just like to start out with thanking Jameson and our city manager, Brian Whitemeyer, and all of the staff we've had. We've spent a lot of time together over the last 6 months sorting through this process, which has been very lengthy and complicated and involved a lot of education for the public. And that was something that had been missing prior to this latest effort starting in January. I think the community has been much more involved this time. We had a great turnout at both of the meetings here at City Hall. And a lot of questions have come in, and you've all been very prompt. I do have a couple of questions associated with all this, and we've talked about this, but I think the public is interested in hearing a little bit more about the weighting of the ballots, which previously there had been an assignment of a value based on how large the lot was, whether you had a street light out front, whether you were next to a piece of artwork, et cetera. And I know that's something that you're both still working on. And I'm not quite clear when we might have an answer to that from the engineer. And the other piece of that was knowing how we're going to make sure that everybody looks at their postcards and reads their ballots, because that was one of the complaints. If there's anything we can do to make that stand out for each individual homeowner. A lot of people said, oh, they hadn't seen the postcard, oh, they didn't know about the ballot. And I think, you've made a lot of strides forward in making the information more clear for the public, but that was one piece that I think we might need to address again.
Okay, related to the apportionment and the costs, we actually met with MBS, the consultant today, and we've asked them to consider different methodology. There's not specific specifications of how it's supposed to be divided up, and we expressed that there was some confusion as far as, well, why is one property charged a little more just because there was a street light? And we kind of had that dialogue that, for some people, it's not a benefit, right? I mean, because some people are like, man, that light's too bright. It's always in my living room and that sort of thing. And so we've asked them to kind of create a more systematic approach that everyone benefits from the entire light system. And is there a way we can factor by square footage? And we hope that when we ultimately bring back the engineer's report, it will be more straightforward as opposed to have all these little different calculations. So that's something that I don't have an answer for you as far as what that looks like, but that's what we've directed the consultant to look at. And then to get the word out, I'm going to get a sandwich board sign and just walk down the street, as often as possible. But our communication team, I think, has a good plan. I think hopefully the residents of Natoma Station have already felt a difference in our website, our communications, our email, and so we're going to continue with that strategy. So it's never perfect in the sense that everyone will look at it, but I think we have a far better chance of getting more eyes on the material that need to.
Yeah, one resident actually brought up the idea of having one of those mobile reader board signs that, tells you what the speed limit is or whatever, to say ballots are in your mailbox or.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. And, a lot of people in the neighborhood have engaged
and slow
in
down,
this.
that's good.
A lot of people in the neighborhood have engaged in this and are trying to just get, educational materials out to answer everybody's question. And that's really been very heartening to see that people are willing to work on this, make sure that everybody understands what's needed and votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rohrbach.
Just to clarify your question, you said that next year, but 2 weeks ago, didn't we say April? Was that when the first installment would be for, if this passes, that we were subsidizing this until like April? Or is it like from the moment the vote?
Would you mind
Is it a year from
talking a
the
little bit about that?
We would need to subsidize it for the entire fiscal year, but at least we would know that for the next fiscal year, full funding would be there.
Okay, thank you for that.
Right, and so my recollection is that if for some reason it didn't pass, we would not just wait for the whole year before we would, kind of make the reductions. We would act at that time.
Vice Mayor Rathel, any questions? Councilmember Kozlowski. Okay, we do have some public comments on this item.
Okay, our first speaker on this item will be Sandra Lunsford. Sandra will be followed by Bill Barcelona.
Good evening.
Good evening, Council, and all of the others that contribute to this huge discussion. I would like to first thank you so very much for this extra time that you've spent on being able to put this ballot out again and being able to keep the water on the maintenance on the landscape. Thank you for that consideration. I also approve and want to support that we go ahead and pass this new proceedings for the formation of the Landscape and Lighting Assessment District. I want to make that clear. I do have a question I can't quite understand. If I'm going to think that we're going to go ahead and pass this, and I'm thinking, will there be a time that where your gracious landscape maintenance is going to stop between when we get our bills again and when we get our assessment is in October, isn't that right? Didn't you say? And when it stops, are we going to have a time where there will be no assessment? I mean, no maintenance, I'm so sorry. Will there be a time when there will be no maintenance there, if indeed this passes?
Our intention would be to continue with the minimal standard that we have now until we start to collect it in the next fiscal year, and then we'd make adjustments when that revenue comes in. But, the cuts that we were showing before, we're not implementing those. The council has directed us to allow that to continue, and that would continue through this whole process.
Yes, so thank you for that subsidence or whatever, the help that you're doing, subsidy, I'm sorry, not the subsidence. Thank you very much for that and for that clarification, Mr. Whitemeyer. Thank you.
Sandra.
Okay, next will be Bill Barcelona.
Good evening.
Okay, just checking in to thank you for putting this on the agenda tonight and urge your aye vote. Just wanted to let you know that the new communications program is working out very well in the neighborhood. We've had a lot more information. People are absorbing it. We're organizing, and we're looking forward to a positive result. So thanks for sticking in with us.
Thank you.
Okay, I have no more requests to speak on this item.
All right, then we will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to move resolution number 11403.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Council members Rohrbach,
Yes.
Kozlowski,
Yes.
Leary,
Yes.
Rethel,
Yes.
and Aquino.
Yes.
Okay, your next item this evening is number 9. This is resolution number 11407. This is a resolution rescinding resolution number 7193, removing site supervision of the Cummings Family Skate and Bike Park and denying the petition to modify safety requirements.
Hello again.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Tom Hellman with the Parks and Recreation Department. Before you discuss 2 action items tonight related to the Cummings Family Skate and Bike Park. Before we get into that, just a little overview, just so we're aware of the property that we're talking about. Here you have Cummings Family Park here at Creekside and Oak Avenue. 3 main elements in this park. You have the first dog park there at Fido Field, adjacent there to Oak Avenue. To the back left there, you have the bike park elements. And then in the near front, you have the skate park that you can see as the concrete bowl. You also have a basketball court there. And then the blue building here is where we have the staff currently there to make sure that they have eyes on both the bike park and the skate park. So tonight, the department, along with the Parks and Recreation Commission, requests the council to, 1, deny the petition submitted to modify safety equipment requirements at the Folsom Skate Park, which I'll talk to you about the reasons for that, as well as to remove the supervision of the Cummings Family Skate and Bike Park staff, and to post signage that is in compliance with the Health and Safety Code and the Folsom Municipal Code. So a little bit of background on this. Several months ago, the mayor and vice mayor were given a petition requesting modification to the safety equipment requirements that's included in your packet tonight. Back in February, the department staff met with the interim city manager along with the mayor and vice mayor to discuss this petition. We provided an overview of what the operations of the Cummings Family Bike Park and Skate Park have, and that the mayor and vice mayor requested that staff work with the commission to look at the staffing of the skate park and should it continue. This park has been in operation since 2003. At that time, the Parks and Recreation Department, along with the commission, recommended to the city council that this bike park and skate park be opened and it be unsupervised. The city council in 2003 discussed this and took action to eventually supervise the park. And so from that time to this time, we have had a supervised park to create a safe and family-friendly place for people to enjoy. The discussion came up again in 2018. Should we continue with the staffing of the skate and bike park? The commission unanimously recommended that to the city council, and the city council agreed at that time to continue that supervision where we are today. Most recently in May, the Parks and Recreation Commission met, heard from staff and the community, and now that recommendation to you is to remove that supervision of the Cummings Family Skate and Bike Park and to make it an unsupervised park. And I'll talk about the requirements that would take here in a moment. So the petition before you requests modification to the safety equipment to the skate park. It requests that all equipment not be required, but only strongly encouraged. The petition before you was signed by 19 individuals, which over the last year represents less than 1% of the visitors to the park. And the petition that was signed only identified 3 individuals with the city of Folsom address. The reason we cannot modify that language is cited here in the Health and Safety Code 115800 that talks about the operator of a skateboard park should not permit a person to ride unless that person is wearing a helmet, elbow pads, and knee pads. At the commission meeting, the community members that were there acknowledged the fact that this is written there and that we would not be able to do that. So therefore, that is the reason why we would deny their petition to modify any language associated to the health and safety requirements of the helmet, elbow pads, and knee pads. Here's our current sign, a little tough to read, but item 1 talks specifically about the requirements of those helmet, elbow pads, and knee pads that are required there, along with some other general safety rules and behavior rules for you to utilize the skate park. We reference the Folsom Municipal Code Chapter 9.69 as well as our Ordinance 1159. So with the requirements to ride in the skate park are included in the Health and Safety Code, therefore we as the City of Folsom and the local operator, we cannot change or modify that language, only strongly encourage we must stick with required, or to utilize this you must have. So staff recommends that the petition be denied and that we continue with signage that reflects the Health and Safety Code as well as our ordinance and Government Code 831.7. Moving on to your second related item tonight, which is the supervised versus unsupervised. If we were to move forward with unsupervised, you will see that in the Health and Safety Code, it talks about who a local public agency is, and that is us, a city. It also talks that if you decide not to, that if a park is not supervised on a regular basis, that the requirements must be satisfied by 2 items. One is the adoption of a local public agency of an ordinance, which we have already adopted, 1159 and Ordinance 1001. All right. The second is the posting of signs that let the facility affording reasonable notice that a person riding a skate or wheel device in a facility must wear these things, and that a person failing to do so will be subject to citation pursuant to the ordinance. So if moving forward in an unsupervised fashion, these would be the new signs that we would post at the skate park. It would reference that it's a hazardous activity as related to the Government Code 831.7. It would identify in Rule 1 the requirements of wearing those pads. It would reference our ordinance. We would also let them know don't use the skate park when it's wet or raining. And 3, that no bikes are allowed in the skate park. All of the health and safety codes that I've referenced tonight only reflect that in operation of a skate park, but because we have a bike park, we'll have to amend our signage there as well. And again, it's identified as a recreational hazardous activity. We've identified, hey, let's wear a helmet, so helmets are required. Other protective gear is encouraged. We have some other items there related to the safety of the operation when you're out in the park. And item 5, that only non-motorized bikes are allowed. No electric bikes, scooters, or motorcycles are allowed in the bike park. So currently and for the past several decades, Parks and Recreation Department provides skate and bike park supervision to monitoring the dedicated park hours that we have available for the community use. They open and close the park, they turn lights on and off, they check in visitors, they identify themselves, they list an emergency contact. And additionally, they provide on-site assistance to visitors and help mitigate unwanted actions in the park setting. Over the last 2 years, our operating hours have adjusted based upon weather. You know, we could close it due to inclementation or hot weather or rain weather. But last year, we roughly had part-time staffing out there, equating to about $39,000 in salaries and benefits to pay for those part-time staff. 2 years ago, we had a little bit more higher hours of operation, so a little bit higher in salaries and benefits, but on average, it's about $41,000 a year in part-time staffing that it takes to operate the skate park and to staff it when we're out there during those operating hours. Part-time staffing, the amount of $41,300 would be saved from not supervising or continuing to supervise the Cummings Family Skate and Bike Park. Staff would recommend that we allocate $14,550 from that savings to convert the skate and bike park lighting over to a Musco lighting control link system, which would allow us to schedule and make sure the lights can turn on and off appropriately when we get to those different seasons throughout the year. With that, those are your 2 action items tonight: to deny the petition to modify any safety equipment requirements at the skate park, and for us to consider the removal of supervision of the Cummings Family Skate and Bike Park and to post signage in compliance with our ordinance.
And the $14,550 for the lights, that's just a one-time cost?
Yes, that's a one-time cost from Musco to convert the existing lighting into a controlling system that then staff has the ability to schedule and turn on and off remotely and on a web-based application.
Got it, okay. Questions, Councilmember Kozlowski?
Can you plug it into a Google Home and do that for about $100? I'm kidding. Actual question, can you go back to the signage for I think the bike park was the one where it jumped out at me. Now, these have not been posted yet, right?
No.
So this first sentence right there, it feels a little awkward to me. And
please take a moment.
Yeah, where it says, shall be deemed a hazardous recreational activity with the meaning of Government Code 831.7. Is Government Code 831.7 exclusively defining what a hazardous recreational activity is?
Yes, in Government Code 831.7, it does identify that bike and skating is a recreation hazardous activity.
But is it the exclusive thing that's in that, or should this say as provided in the meaning provided by Government Code
or pursuant to
831.7? I don't know. It just seems a little awkward to
we can work
say
with City Attorney or Steve and
it's
make some
probably fine,
modifications.
but just, yeah. That was my only question. Thank you.
Okay. Vice Mayor Rathel?
How late is the skate park open now? Is it only open till 9 p.m.?
So currently in the summertime, we go till 9. During the winter times, we've been in operation till 8.
This has never been open later than 9 in the history of the park?
No.
Okay. You mentioned the health and safety code. So helmets, I just kind of noticed on the bike park versus the skate park, full sets of pads are required in the skate park under health and safety code.
Correct.
But only helmets are required in the bike health and safety code. So this is specific.
So the
State of California health safety code differences.
So the health and safety code 115800 is only related to skate park operations. The government code 8317 identifies biking as a hazardous recreation activity in which they require helmets for that activity, nothing more.
So we have no flexibility we can't say only helmets are required in the skate park. We have to say every single pad.
Yeah, that's where that code comes into play for the skate park.
Okay. And then the last question, is there anything in government health and safety code says that we need to fine people when they don't follow this code, or can we hand out warnings?
There's nothing in the health and safety code about that. It is listed in our Folsom Municipal Code.
If I may, Mr. Vice Mayor, it actually does, and it requires that violators be cited. Of course, the citation piece falls under our municipal code.
Right.
So I looked up that municipal code. It's $50 for the first violation, $100 for the second violation, and $150 or something for the third violation. I don't recall exactly on the third one, but was that discussed at the commission level about updating that? Like first violation, when we're not supervising anything, we roll out there and we issue a citation. Probably not what we're going to do in reality. But I don't love having it in our municipal code if it's not something we're going to do. Do we give people a warning the first time? I'm just wondering how that works out in practice. Are we out writing? Like, do we have people right now that we're citing for their first violation in the skate park? Because surely somebody's gone in there and like not had their elbow pads and gone skating that day, and the staff has had to come up to them and been like, oh, actually, we need you to put on pads, right? We don't walk up and give them a citation, I would guess.
Correct. Staff is there to comply with enforcement of this, and so we would ask the person to either put those items on or to leave the park, but they don't cite them.
Did the commission discuss that at all?
The commission did not take citing or fines under discussion.
Who actually can issue a citation?
According to our municipal code, any delegate by the park and rec director and or the police chief.
And do we have a list of people who've been delegated thusly? Okay.
Police chief or the park and rec director.
Thank you.
So if I could just comment on that question for our city attorney, in the sense that typically our goal is not to be punitive, right? And so, I mean, is there the flexibility of being able to issue warnings instead of citations?
Absolutely, and you're not wrong. This is the Folsom way as being explained to us many times by this council and also previous councils, we do not try to penalize people. We try very hard to coach and train for compliance. Of course, if we have repeat offenders, that's different. But typically, people appreciate the warning and the information, and they comply for their benefit.
Yeah, and I'm comfortable with that. I just kind of want to go out there. If somebody chooses not to wear, elbow pads or knee pads, for me, it's not a big deal, right? If that person is assuming their own risk, we're posting this out of a legal requirement. But we are really, if they choose not to wear elbow pads and they hurt their elbow out there, and we've got it posted, we're not liable, right?
That is one of the very strong way for us to get a liability case out of the lawsuit. Yeah, it's a strong defense we have.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
I'm happy to go along with it. I know this is kind of a last minute, I just kind of thought about it after, so I don't want to make any changes to this. I appreciate all the work you guys have done on this. I don't need to throw a wrench in it, but I think if I could just encourage as much as we can to educate folks and help them out and not be out there policing this as a good use of staff time, I would say that would be my preference. And obviously, if we hear back from the community that we're out there writing citations every day, then we can take it back up as a council and see what the appropriate, whether we need to update that ordinance further. Thank you.
Councilmember Warba, any questions? Councilmember Leary?
Yeah, I think this is a difficult problem because, we can't, education is difficult. And I think it's something that we can work on through the city newsletter. It's really hard for me to ignore the potential for a life-changing injury because I've seen a lot of them, having worked on the trauma service for many years. And so I'd really like to see some more educational efforts, maybe go out to the community through the means we have of sending messages out there. I did have a couple of questions on the automatic lights. So the times will be adjusted according to the time of year when they're going to go on and off since the...
Correct. Yeah, we would adjust it based upon the seasons.
Okay. And then what is the availability of staff or to make a change? Let's say we've got, a prolonged period of rain to not encourage people to use the facility, like not have the lights go on or to lock it. It seems like that would potentially help reduce the city's risk. But again, I think that Mr. Wong has explained that you believe the liability, given the signage, is lower for the city than we might anticipate.
And I appreciate the question, Councilmember Leary. As you know me, I am a fierce defender of the city and the city's taxpayers' resources. I would not recommend any deviation from what we have, what the council has in terms of immunity or liability defense. This is part of the shield that we have in the event that somebody does hurt themselves and decide that they want to sue the city. I need that tool. If you want me to defend the city and the city's resources against those kind of lawsuits, I need those signs as required by state law.
And if I may add, I appreciate, Mr. Wong's comments. This is standard practice. When we consult with our risk management authority, it's a pooled insurance program that many cities utilize. This is pretty typical. And, our intent isn't to be punitive. We will not be out there. It's not a high priority because in many ways, it's important for us to allow people the freedom to choose to do the right thing. And in some of the conversations that we've had at the Parks Recreation Commission is parents and users, they own this place. I mean, they're pretty dedicated about making sure things go pretty well. Will we have some hiccups? Probably. I mean, we're not good every day, but I think this is a prudent approach to, from a budgetary standpoint, but also from a risk management standpoint.
Any other questions or?
No, thanks.
I do have one more also. One of the concerns that was brought up to me by a resident was the existence of a fence, right? Because we've set it up as like a closed facility, right? To where we can manage access to it now, right? And now we're going to leave that door open. But if there is an issue between multiple users of the facility, are there now going to be multiple exits, or are we really requiring everybody to go in and out of one exit?
As of right now, we haven't discussed removal of any of that fencing or the creation of an additional gate or entry or exit. The idea was to go ahead and open that front that people have coming in and out as current practice right now for both the park sites.
Okay.
Where then the signage is right there, so everybody sees that as they're entering, whether the bike park or the skate park, and then they would leave the same way.
Just maybe something, this concern was brought up a while ago. Maybe something we just got to keep our eyes on, right? If we do have stuff that's going on between different groups, having one entrance and exit, or having maybe lack of sight visibility in, too, is a concern. But none of those concerns were brought up at the commission.
No, the only thing that is an addition that I didn't include here is the commission did ask that we bring this back to them in a year with an evaluation of how the year has gone if we move in this direction, so that we can have those conversations of any adjustments we need to make.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Councilmember Rohrbaugh, do you have a question? Councilmember Leary, are you finished?
No, I'm sorry, I had one more question. And that is, potential damage to the skate park, based on, users in there that aren't supposed to be on e-bikes, bikes, or whatever, or using their equipment inappropriately. And the city, I guess, has the ability to pursue any damage and repairs, the cost of repairs in case that occurs.
Yes, Councilmember Larry, and we have. In the past, when somebody actually did something to damage a city park, that does not happen often. Thankfully, we have good kids in the city, but once in a while, we do get those unfortunate incident events. As soon as we know who that person is, we pursue them. If they're minors, we pursue their parents, and we have done that successfully in both state and federal courts.
Thank you.
I have one question. So as far as a helmet in the bike park, does that apply to adults also? Because state law doesn't require that you wear a bike helmet right, for an adult?
I'm not sure. That would be referenced in the government code for 8317, and I'm not sure if it's related to age specific.
Okay.
I know Health and Safety Code references it for 12 and under for the liability in place for skate park operations only, but not for bike park.
Okay, all right.
I have one now.
Okay.
Do we have any cameras, security cameras at the skate park?
We do not have hardwired security cameras that would be monitored, no.
Okay.
Did you just reference Health and Safety Code only applies to 12 and under?
There's a statute in the Health and Safety Code.
That is correct, Mr. Vice Mayor. It's 115800.
For the skate park?
Yes, sir.
So you only have to wear all of the equipment if you're 12 and under?
No, it's not related to equipment. It has to do with we talked about it with the Risk Management Authority as well, and it's related to liability for under 12. And I can't recall it specifically, but it still complies that no matter what your age is to use a skate park, it's all of the equipment. There's no difference to that. It was another setting that I cannot recall off the top of my head.
It was just specially mentioned because of that. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
And I will just add, sorry, that if moving forward with unsupervision, that we would look to remove staff and for this to become effective July 1. It gives us the next couple days plus early part of next week to get signage made, posted, and make those adjustments.
Okay. We have no request to speak on this item. All right.
I'll happily move resolution number 11407.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmembers Rohrbaugh?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
Leary?
Yes.
Raythel?
Yes.
And Aquino.
Yes.
Okay, that takes you to your old business item number 10. This is a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract amendment to the agreement with Western Truck Parts and Equipment Company for the purchase of 2 electric refuse collection vehicles to update the specs and modify the delivery schedule.
Good evening, Marie.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Marie McKeith, General Services Manager, and this evening I'm going to discuss our contract to purchase 2 electric refuse trucks. So back in January of 2023, we ordered 2 refuse trucks as a pilot project to test the feasibility of this technology within our operation. And the purchase was made exclusively with enterprise funds and grant funding. There is no impact at all to the general fund having to do with the refuse trucks or any of this that I'll be speaking about tonight. And the delivery was originally planned for September of 2023. That's the date that's actually in our purchase agreement. And the initial delivery was delayed actually by over a year due to some minor issues like trouble getting parts or parts that weren't working, even some rodent damage. But then when they finally did attempt to deliver the trucks, they were not accepted after being inspected by our fleet division and finding multiple mechanical issues. Most were pretty minor and could be corrected. But the primary concern for us has been ongoing transmission failures, multiple failures in the same vehicles. And so after so much time had gone by and their failure to be able to deliver a functional vehicle in that amount of time, staff notified the vendor that we intended to terminate the agreement. At that time, they requested a meeting and met with city staff. They acknowledged the deficiencies in the truck, actually stated that the specifications the truck were built under had some deficiencies. The manufacturer had built approximately 200 trucks with these same specifications, and consistently all of them were having the same issues. So the manufacturer is doing basically a voluntary recall. They're bringing all the trucks, whether they're already deployed, out in the field picking up, or whether they haven't been accepted like ours, they're bringing all of them back to the original factory, upgrading the motor and inverter, the transmission, multiple other parts, adding features like hill start assist and an upgraded harness and sound generator for safety, and then shipping them back out to the customers. So the proposal that the vendor came to us with actually did address all of staff's concerns. The only underlying concern that we still have is that the delay has put our federal funding at risk. $200,000 of the grant funding was federal funding, and now there's a federal funding freeze. The Air Board has not said that they can't fulfill that, and they've said they will try, but there is some possibility that if we proceed, we will lose that funding. So a little bit more about the reason that we purchased these trucks in the first place. The 2035 general plan adopted by the city does call for the reduction in fossil fuels. So that's one of our reasons. And then also the state goal for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The refuse operation is the largest user of fossil fuel within our city operations. So if the technology were to be successful in our operation, we could save quite a bit of use of fossil fuel. So to demonstrate that, our side loaders use about 27 gallons per day. Those are the residential trucks that drive through the neighborhoods dumping the cans. And then the rear loader, the one that drives through getting the bulky waste, they use about 20 gallons per day. And those were the 2 trucks that we ordered through this process. And so at the current price we pay of about $4.30 per gallon, which obviously goes up and down, but that's our recent price. Just these 2 trucks alone save about $200 per day in fuel. That, of course, there would be some offset that's unknown at this point in the electricity that we would need to charge them. One of the other benefits from purchasing electric vehicles is reduced maintenance cost. We have seen this with our light-duty fleet and are hoping for the same results when we move to electric refuse trucks. This is a couple of the main reasons for this is that there's no combustion engine, so there's no exhaust and there's no treatment of that exhaust. And then there's regenerative braking, which prevents a lot of wear to the brakes. And so there is just generally less maintenance. That's estimated at up to 40% by some of the manufacturers. So we want to see if that would hold true. Unfortunately, the electrical systems cannot be serviced within our shop. Not only are our mechanics not trained, but even if they were trained, our facilities don't meet OSHA standards for high voltage work. So that would be sent out to another repair facility. However, the vendor that built these trucks is also the same manufacturer that we purchase our diesel trucks from. So the body and chassis, anything that's not related to the electrical system, are all parts that our mechanics are very familiar with, and we have parts readily available for those. And the charging infrastructure that we would need to use for these trucks would be level 2. Level 3 would be ideal, and that was what was originally planned. However, the investment in that much infrastructure down in the corporation yard, which is basically a temporary location for us at this point, would be very costly. So instead, we're going to go with the level 2 chargers. The level 2 charger obviously is slower, and the anticipated charge time for these trucks would be about 21 hours. So obviously we couldn't use them every day if they were all the way drained. The estimated range of these trucks, though, is about 200 miles. Our average is less than 100 miles a day. It's 70, and that can range up to 100 miles a day. So we wouldn't be needing to do a full charge. So if they charge as promised, again, pilot project, so we don't know for sure, we wouldn't be doing a full charge, and they could potentially charge in the 16 hours from the end of the route to the beginning of the route the next day. There's potential they could be used every day. And so the staff right now is recommending that we do proceed with this purchase and approve the resolution this evening to modify the contract, approving the new specifications and the extended timeline for delivery. And some of the considerations that went into the recommendation, I mean, it's at the bottom of my list, but first and foremost is the vendor did respond to all of the issues and give us assurances that they are building a next generation truck that would meet our needs. And another consideration is that the cost of electric refuse trucks has increased $200,000 over the past couple of years since we ordered these. So if we were to start over, we'd be starting at a higher price.
Can I ask you a question on that real quick? Sorry. The cost of the refuse trucks has increased by $200,000 for electric vehicle refuse trucks. How much has the cost increased over that time for a regular non-electric one?
I'm not sure because we haven't bought diesel trucks in a few years. They're very difficult to get right now because of the advanced clean fleet requirements.
Okay.
They were trending upwards every year, about 10, as much as 13% one year in the years previous to this.
Okay, thank you.
So the annual increases were substantial.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I should mention this is $200,000 per vehicle. And so if we proceed with this purchase, we're getting 2025 trucks for 2023 pricing. The grant funding contributes up to 40%. That is, of course, if we get the federal funding. If we don't, that's a little bit lower, and that cost would be covered by the enterprise fund. Another reason to continue with this particular purchase is that these were ordered before ACF regulations went into effect. And so with the combination of the grant funding and ACF, because they were ordered before the regulations required us to buy electric trucks, it can count toward our mandated 50% of electric or zero emission purchases. If we were to start over, we could not use grant funding and count it toward our ACF credits, because at that point it would be required. And I lost my slide here for a second. There we go. And another reason to continue with the pilot is because the information that we would obtain would either inform a request for an exemption from the ACF requirements if these trucks did not prove to be viable, or if they did, then we would know that converting to this would reap the benefits that it is promising, and we would move forward in that direction. So either way, it would benefit us to know whether or not this works for our particular operation. So, and oh, sorry. It's on my screen. Okay. I'm not getting my. Thank you, Stacy. Okay.
Okay. You ready for some questions, Marie?
Sure.
Okay, Vice Mayor Rathel, any questions?
Are they super quiet? Will Folsom's kids still know they're coming down the street so they can run out and greet them?
Yes. The kids love to run out and meet the garbage trucks. So you can see on this slide, one of the upgrades is the artificial sound generator. That is actually to notify the pedestrians that there's a vehicle present.
Can we have it play music like
That's
in
what I think, like
Thailand?
the ice cream truck.
Only if we have ice cream on board.
Well, don't play the ice cream song, play something else.
I can look into that.
Okay, all right.
But no, no questions at this time. I understand it's a pilot program. There's been a lot of bumps. I think the justification you gave makes sense to me, so I appreciate all the work you've done on it.
Thank you.
Any questions over here?
No, I really appreciate all the work you've done into putting this together and the pros and cons. And as Mayor Aquino mentioned last time, the Sacramento region's finally reached an acceptable ozone level reduction, and I think we can attribute that to a lot of the electric vehicle use in the area. So I'm glad that it seems that everybody's willing to move forward with this. Thank you.
Do you know of any other cities that have electric vehicle garbage trucks in our region?
Not operating them. I know the county owns one or two. They've been around for a long time. I don't think they are in operation on route. I did ask this particular company for references, and I don't have them yet.
Okay.
But they did build a couple hundred of them, so there were some that were deployed, just not in our area.
Okay.
All right, we do have a request to speak. Do you have a question?
I have one other question. Yeah, I've been asking for a while for us to have an art contest for the wrap on the refuse collection vehicles. These would be the perfect ones to have a custom wrap on. Suggestion. Thank you. That's all.
All right, we have a request to speak.
We have one request to speak tonight from Rob Allen.
Stacy, how do I? Oh, I got it. It's gone.
That's okay. We don't need it anymore. Thank you. Hi, Rob.
Hello, everyone. I wasn't even coming to the meeting for this, and then when this started, I'm like, no. So with where we are with the budget, this reminded me, the presentation reminded me of an episode of Three's Company, I think, where Suzanne Summers looked at a coupon for bird feed. It was some savings, but she didn't own a bird. So it was like getting the savings on bird feed that she didn't need. So I don't know where we were in the past, where we are now with money that was given to help offset the cost. But I'd say pause on any spending, because if you think about when Tesla started, they did thousands of cars to work through the bugs. We're talking about a guy that's a company that's made hundreds of trucks I don't want anything. I'm not buying anything myself where there's been hundreds of them made. I know they're a refuse truck maker, but these electric motors, this size, this requirements, just think about that. And if this could be stopped or at least paused, I don't think we need to be the pilot city to do garbage trucks. There's none in the area. Someone can't give in references. You know, the different careers that you have. I'm in medical sales. I could give you 10 references by tomorrow morning. If he hasn't provided references, that should be super easy for him to do for trucks that are working and operating, not trucks where hundreds of them needs to be, where hundreds of trucks already need to be changed and retrofitted from a recall. So just take that into consideration. Also, another reason to pause is everything that's going on with electric vehicles, and not that I'm not up for them, but that's all coming to an end. I know we talked about this weeks ago. It's going to change everywhere as soon as Gavin's out. Electric vehicle stuff is just going to it's all going to change. It's already happening. It's already being talked about on the federal level. And yeah, I'd really look forward to references before moving forward with just vehicles that are working. So just take
Thank
that
you.
into consideration.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Madam Mayor, could I add to that? I appreciate Mr. Allen's comments. I think they're on point in many ways. I think it's important for us to highlight, we're going to have many conversations like this with the budget, in that on one side, we will be saying, hey, we don't have funds for this or for that. And then we will bring forward very expensive purchases. And so the reason for that is there's lots of bifurcation of our budget in the funding sources where it comes from. And that doesn't mean that we're not going to take every dollar we spend very seriously, but there are different requirements for that. So the general fund is basically the only fund that the council has significant discretion on where those funds are spent. Whereas in this case, the solid waste funds are coming from the ratepayers, and we take that very seriously, and we don't want to overspend. And in some ways, it's a balancing act because this is not necessarily done for an environmental reason. It's not done to make a statement. It's to test technology, because there are examples out there in other fields where in jurisdictions I've been that we've benefited greatly by utilizing electric vehicles just from the simple fact that we're not paying for the fuel. So the jury's still out whether this will work. We actually, as a staff, contemplated, hey, should we just stop doing this? But because of the cost, and actually in some cases the difficulty of acquiring other vehicles, this felt like the right thing to do at this time with everything that we've been through. I mean, not to discount the comments that were made, because those are questions that we asked ourselves. But I just share that with you of our mindset that we take this very seriously, and this is not meant to be just a, hey, let's just try it out type of response.
So if I did the math correctly, we would be saving $144,000 a year in fuel by using these trucks over the next year, based on the numbers that were given to us.
Okay.
Which seems, a reasonable reduction in costs on the other end. And
Marie, do you happen to know the battery storage capacity of these vehicles? Is that possible that you know that?
I don't. I don't know that off the top of my head. I could find out and get back to you on it.
Okay.
Marie, can you talk a little bit more about the other municipalities that are using them? Have you just to kind of address that question a little bit? Because, we talked about this since it was on the agenda, but back in 2023, obviously a lot of these trucks were going back to the manufacturer. But I think my understanding of it now is that a lot of these trucks have gone back to the manufacturer. They've gotten the transmission fix. I know I bought a car the first year it was out, and it was a brand new model, and I got a brand new transmission in that car for free, 5,000 miles in, and I felt like an idiot for buying the car the first year that model was out. But once it got the new transmission, the car ran great for the rest of its life until I sold it. So are there a lot of those trucks that have gone back and gotten the transmission fixed that are back out on the road again?
They're just now getting back to the purchasers. So they haven't been out long. That's what I'm waiting for the references on,
Okay.
is to find out.
The new rework
Yeah.
of the transmission
Yep.
issues.
Yep, the transmission, the motor, all of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in terms of this deal of getting 2025 trucks for 2023 prices, is there a deadline? But I mean, if we said, well, we want to push this out a month to wait for the references, can we do that? Or is there some sort of deadline we're working with?
They're planning to take the trucks that are slated for us back to the factory in September. So we would just need to have a contract executed before that and give an answer on whether or not we're going to terminate the contract.
Yeah, I mean, staff would support if we want to take some more time on this.
So we
that
could
would be
push it
fine.
back maybe a meeting or two until we get some references?
Yeah, we'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, do you happen to know when we may be able to get those references? Are there municipalities that have already gotten these trucks back or are getting them back?
I believe there are
Within
some that
30
have
days?
gotten them back. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also, I believe that you said that if there were still issues, they would take them back and replace anything that was a continuing problem.
Yeah, they will be under warranty. So they would be warranted for anything. Once we accept them, they'd be warranted. But the items that they're fixing now, they're going to fix everything from the start.
And are they going to be giving them a trial run before they send them back out?
Yes, I mean, they bring them out, they drive them, they get delivered to Sacramento, and so they get driven from there to here. So yes, and we can give them a trial run, not necessarily on route, but we do drive them around and inspect them before accepting them.
Okay, thank you.
Just a question. This is a resolution authorizing the city manager, not necessarily directing the city manager to sign the contract. So if we wanted to authorize him to move it forward, then he could make that decision and report back out in a couple of months, just so we don't have to hear it again. 'Cause I'm comfortable with the analysis that's been done. I do think we are moving in this direction from an economic standpoint. And so I'd be comfortable authorizing the city manager under his discretion to execute the contract amendment and letting him kill it in 2 months if we don't want to move forward. I don't know if it necessarily needs to come back to the council.
Would you like to phrase that in the form of a motion?
I'm
I
happy.
have one more question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was it $200 of gas saving a day for the 2 trucks?
Yes.
Okay, so total 2 trucks. Okay, so I think the math is just a little bit off, but it's about $50,000 savings, just to be.
I think that's accurate. I was doing a little research with my supercomputer right here. The larger of the 2 battery packs that's available for those holds just about 400 kilowatt hours. So even if you were to deplete it totally and then recharge that, at the highest rate we might be paying SMUD, that's like $70. So it's at least 30% savings just in fuel.
I want to make a comment on just what Rachel just proposed. I'm not comfortable authorizing the authority up to this hundreds of $1,000s without council direction. So I would prefer to postpone it. So then, the public sees how we actually will vote, because in the end, he's probably going to get a consensus behind the scenes of if there's a great, if he's 50-50, and I don't think that's very transparent. So I think I would rather have this come back to the dais if we're going to postpone it, if we're not going to make a motion, see it done tonight.
So we authorized the purchase of these vehicles already. This is authorizing an amendment to the contract to absorb the schedule change. And,
There's no funding change in this?
There's no funding change.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we did want to make the council aware that there's a possibility that the grants that we had anticipated, I mean, we hope it comes to pass, but there could be an additional $200,000 expense
Burden.
if for some reason. And so just to be transparent of everything, we thought it wise to bring this forward for deliberation.
Let me ask a question on that then. If we didn't get the grant for some reason, then it would have to come back to council.
Well, I mean, we would our expectation is we're letting you know that this decision would be an approval with or without the grant.
Okay.
I mean, mainly because we have to decide that we're going forward or not, even if we don't know about the grant.
Okay.
So, but I guess I would highlight, I mean, either way would be fine with us, since they're not even going to be sent back until September. We'd still have time for them to do the work. So, Mr. Allen's comments, I think, are on point. I would feel totally comfortable getting the references, and it won't take a whole lot of work for us to, I mean, if you're okay with just seeing some of the same slides again, at a future item, but I think I would be totally fine with just finding out that City X or City Z, and even Y, what their experience has been with the product.
Okay.
Can I make a proposal that we table this motion till a date in the future chosen by the city manager?
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, please call the roll.
Council members Rohrbach?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
Leary?
I'm split on this. I guess yes.
Raythel?
Yes.
And Aquino.
Yes. All right, next item, please.
It takes you to your last discussion item this evening. This is resolution number 11401, a resolution adopting the fiscal year 25-26 operating and capital budgets for the city of Folsom, the successor agency, the Folsom Public Financing Authority, and the Folsom Ranch Public Financing Authority.
Great. Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the upcoming budget for fiscal year 25-26. First off, would like to once again commend our Finance Director, Stacy Tamani, and Adam Devlin for all their efforts to get us to this point. We have been talking about this since March 10th, at least for me. I started March 10th, so from day one, we've been talking about it.
It was actually in the interview.
Oh, well, that's true. Actually, if we get technical, that is true. So on May 27th, we held a city council workshop at the library. It was really well attended and offered kind of an introduction to kind of a modified format in displaying the different funds and the general fund budget. We held our first public hearing on June 10th. We received or were able to present that presentation to the council. We heard public comment, and we recommended that be continued tonight so that we could have the opportunity to have the community and the council additional time to look at the budget. And I think that's been helpful. We've received some comments and questions from the council and from the community. And so you'll hear tonight that we are suggesting some minor modifications to the budget based on some of the comments that we received. So we really appreciate the feedback. And so tonight we're going to be presenting that minor modification to you. And our hopes is that the council approves the budget as presented, but the work is going to continue on with this effort. So through July to September, we'll be working with the city departments to develop cost-cutting proposals that will be reviewed at the review of the final budget that the council will hold in either September and October of this year. And at that time, we'll be able to allow additional public input from the community, and we will be able to really work from the actual starting numbers for fiscal year 25-26, because we'll close out the 24-25 year. We'll see, did the revenues really come like we expected, and where did our expenses actually end up? And then we have the opportunity to look at the possible reductions that would take place for fiscal year 26-27 that starts July 1 of 2026. And in February, March, we would look at the budget again. We call that our mid-year budget review. We have now a pretty good idea of what the trends are for our revenues. And we would consider at that point any budget adjustments that we would need to make. Staff would seek direction from the council as to what cost reductions they would consider, including in 25 or 26-27. So when you boil it all down, what our options are is, to live within our means, to develop a budget with expenditures below revenues, find a new revenue sources, or keep things as they are. And it's important. If you can go to the next slide, the residents had an opportunity to kind of communicate with us as far as what revenue sources they wanted us to have. And at least for the time being, it was pretty clear that a sales tax was not in the cards for us. And so we're taking this with the mindset that we're going to live within our means. So this year we're recommending utilization of general fund reserves to allow ourselves more time to actually prudently plan for whatever those reductions end up being. And also because some of the reductions that we anticipate taking place, we would not realize the cost savings for this upcoming fiscal year because a lot of the work has already been done for recreation programs and others, that we wouldn't actually realize the savings because we've already hired the staff, printed the brochures, and engaged contracts with other providers. So with that, I'll turn the time over to Stacy to go over the actual budget figures. Thank you.
Thank you. So I just have a condensed version of the budget presentation that I gave last time, just so we can get everybody on the same page as we continue here tonight. So we'll begin with this slide here, which shows how we start our budget preparation each year. We start with determining how much revenue we expect to have in the general fund for next year. We're projecting that the increase to total general fund revenues over last year's budgeted figure will be an increase of about $4.7 million. And you see that in the third column. About half of that increase is associated with property tax growth, primarily from development in the Folsom Plan area. And then all other general fund revenue combined accounts for the additional $2 million increase over the prior year. So when we add the first column and the third column together, we end up with about $120 million in revenue, about a 4% increase overall in revenues. Then we go down to the second line and start with expenditures. So we start with our $115 million original budget from fiscal year 24-25, and we remove one-time items that were approved in last year's budget because those aren't continuing, and that was about $2 million, mostly capital expenses. So we take those out of the operating budget to get us to our starting point. To determine the total expenditure budget, we're working towards the $120 million that we have in revenues available to spend. So first, as we move along to the salary, benefit, and insurance cost increase line here, we had about $5.5 million in increased costs for that category. These are increases in labor costs that were approved in the MOU agreements, regular annual salary step increases, benefit cost increases, and insurance costs. So that added an additional $5.5 million to the budget and took us to $120.5 million of expenditures. So with $120.5 million already spoken for, just with adding in those salary, benefit, and insurance cost increases, and only $120 million in revenues for next year, that left the city manager with a $500,000 shortfall before we even addressed any of the $18.5 million of department requests this year. And we know that recent budgets have not been covering the true cost of providing all the services the city provides. That's why we see throughout the year that many departments end up going over their approved budgets in several areas. And in the past two budgets, we have included significant increases to the operating accounts to try to keep up with these growing costs, but we've still been behind. And so this year, the city manager is proposing to again increase those department budgets by an additional $3 million, which you see in the next column called true-ups to operating accounts. And that's to fully account for those cost increases. So when we added in the salary and benefit increases, the true-ups, that was total expenditures of about $123.5 million. We had $120 million in revenue. So that created a total deficit of about $3.5 million that would have come from your unassigned fund balance, otherwise known as the emergency reserve. And I mentioned last time that this is the first time in at least 20 years that the budget proposes to use the emergency reserve outside of a recession for ongoing operating expenses. So the city manager did receive some feedback over the last couple of weeks and asked if some cuts could be made sooner to try to limit the use of the general fund reserve in this fiscal year. So we've added in this next column, proposed budget reductions. City staff did take this seriously, reassess the budget to see if there were any general fund reductions that could be made right now so that the deficit could be reduced. So what we are proposing here is $25,000 in savings by removing the skate park attendant. That includes being able to install the lights, but then the reduction from not staffing that. And then you have $427,000 in general fund savings by eliminating the annual contribution that the city makes to the city's public entity investment trust. And that goes towards our retiree health obligation. So that reduces expenditures in the general fund by $452,000, and then would reduce the use of the fund balance down to about $3 million instead of 3.5. And that would be a total proposed budget there for the general fund of the $123 million. So this slide here shows each of the increases for those true-ups for the different departments. This is in their operation and maintenance line items, and these are to cover services that are already occurring. And this is the list of what was made up of each department totals, and you also had this list as part of the packet. So for general government, it was a $22,000 increase, community development about $45,000, facilities $153,000, the fire department at $732,000, the library at $19,000, parks and recreation at $1.6 million, and the police department at $427,000 for total true-ups of about $3 million. This slide displays the general fund proposed appropriations sorted by department, so that includes the increases to the salary and benefits, increases to those true-ups. So year over year, you have a $6 million total increase for a total of $123 million, and that includes that $3 million use of the emergency reserve. This does now include the $25,000 reduction by eliminating the attendant at the park, and also the $427,000 reduction to non-departmental expenses. And so you can see that now in the non-departmental line showing a reduction year over year. And then I just wanted to go over again that transfers out category that we have at the bottom. It's increasing by about $1.6 million this year. We started this idea of having capital funds transferred out and held in separate funds last year when the council approved $50,000 for IT expenditures being moved out to an IT capital fund. So this is continuing with that idea, moving funds out to other departments as well. We have $125,000 going to a new capital fleet fund. That's for non-safety vehicles. $200,000 going to the IT capital fund, $756,000 for fire equipment and capital, and $521,000 going to the new police equipment and capital fund. So these weren't increases to their budgets. These were capital line items that were in each of the budgets. We're just taking them out of each department budget and moving it to this transfers out line item. And then this slide shows the capital expenses that will be coming out of those new capital funds that have been created. We have $125,000 for the non-safety vehicle, so it's just going in and out there. $150,000 for IT, $756,000 for monitors for fire, and then the $521,000 for new police vehicles. And then in addition to those, the city manager is proposing to complete some projects out of the city's capital fund. The proposed projects out of that fund are $1.3 million for roof replacement for the library, $1.8 million for HVAC replacement for the library, $300,000 for the fleet shop, the roof repair there, and then $240,000 for a portion of the city hall roof, for a total of $3.6 million. And so the cash balance in this fund is currently at $5.9 million. With these expenditures, it will leave you with about $2.3 million remaining in the fund. And just a reminder that this fund does not have a source of ongoing revenue. The current balance is just what the city has been able to set aside over the last 10 years to save for some major general fund expenditures. So this here uses about 60% of that fund this year. Here you have your pie chart detailing out the appropriation by department for fiscal year 25-26. 26 looks very much the same as last year. The only change that is really significant as far as the chart is the fire department, and that's because they had a fairly significant capital expense line item that was in their budget. It was about $1.4 million. That's now being moved into the transfers out category so it can be moved to that fire capital fund. So that it did impact their piece of the pie. That also happened in police, but their capital line item is just smaller, so it didn't have quite as big of impact on the percentage. So with this change, fire went down from 26% to 25%, and transfers out went from 0% up to 1%. And then also now this pie chart includes that elimination of the contribution to the city's trust fund for the retiree healthcare obligations. So that reduced the non-departmental costs down a little bit. You see they went from the 8.6 down to 8.2. So that also reduced the pie chart in total and changed the percentages a little bit for some of the departments, but didn't change their numbers. But that was why it changed a little bit from the last time that we showed this slide. Here's your chart of authorized positions. This budget does not propose any new general fund positions, but you do see an increase from fiscal year 24-25 to 25-26 because of the 2 approved positions that the City Council approved during this current fiscal year. One is the addition of a park planner and the other is an arborist, and both of those are to be funded by resources that are outside of the general fund, but they are included as positions in general fund departments, so you see them there. This budget does propose an additional position to environmental and water resources, and then 7 new positions in solid waste this year for a total increase of 10 positions year over year. We'll just do a quick review here of the estimated revenues. This slide has your 24-25 budget and then the 25-26 proposed. We're projecting total revenue, which we've already talked about, at about $120 million. Property tax is where we see an increase coming in year over year, hopefully at about $3.3 million increase, again, mostly from the Folsom Plan area. Sales tax estimated at about $28 million for next year. We have that down from the prior year because we don't expect to hit that $29 million mark for fiscal year 24-25. Transient occupancy tax from our hotels is projected to go up just a bit for 25-26. Licenses and permits category is proposed at $4 million, so pretty much in line with last year's budget. Intergovernmental revenue, which is primarily our vehicle license fees, we're expecting a slight increase there. And then charges for services is where you see a fairly large increase there, up to $17 million. This increase is mostly due to projected increases in ambulance revenue for the fire department, increases in community development revenue, increased cost recovery reimbursements for public work projects. Those come from funds outside of the general fund, and then a right sizing of the budget for the Parks and Recreation program revenue. And I mentioned this last time that Parks and Recreation has outperformed their budgeted amounts the past few years. So we've done a true up, bringing that up to an estimate that we feel matches where their current activity is. But it's important to note that now that we've right-sided their revenue and we've right-sized their expenditures, there's going to be a little room for them to go over in expenditures because the revenue won't be there. And we expect that they'll stay within budget on both of those categories. This chart here reflects the city's unassigned fund balance by year in the dark blue columns, and then the unassigned fund balance as a percentage of expenditures displayed by the red line. And we're really focusing on these last 3 years here where we've seen the fund balance decreasing. And then, of course, the far right bar is fiscal years 25-26 proposed balance. With the proposed use of the unassigned fund balance now at about $3 million, we're projecting that by the end of the year, the unassigned fund balance will be at about $19.1 million, or down to 15.5% of expenditures. So falling below the City Council's policy of maintaining that range of 17 to 20% of expenditures in the emergency reserve. So next up, we just have a quick look at your proposed capital improvement budget for fiscal year 25-26. This budget book that you have before you, it doesn't have the format that has all the descriptions in it, but the totals for all of the projects are included in the funds where they'll be funded out of. And so you can see that as you look at each of these categories. Some of the major projects that are either new this year or have a new budget request are listed here. So Empire Ranch Road interchange, an additional request of $500,000. You have several water system rehab projects, storm drain ponds, Livermore Community Park, an increase of $400,000 to that budget, National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, and then a new project here, the Oak Avenue Lift Station and Force Main Project, $768,000. This slide here is the proposed appropriations by fund in total for all city funds, and this is what the City Council actually approves, which is the total appropriation by fund. This is for your operating budget and your capital costs. So the general fund, we're asking for approval of the $123 million, enterprise funds at $57.7, your special revenue funds at $14.8 million, debt service funds at $16.8 million, capital project funds, $11.2, internal service funds at $25 million, and fiduciary funds at $25 million, for total expenditures of $274 million. So now we wanted to take some time to address some of the questions that we've received over the past couple of weeks related to the budget. So we just put the question in as we received it, and we'll go through the responses. So the first question was a statement that they had heard that the city's in this mess because of the bad deal that we got when the county was annexing Folsom Ranch. And so the response here is that the city's property tax calculations they're actually quite involved, but on average, the city's share of the property tax revenue collected north of Highway 50, where the property tax agreements have been in place for decades, the city receives about 21% of the 1% ad valorem tax that is collected. So that's what we were receiving for many, many years. In comparison, the city's share of the property tax revenue that's collected under the new tax sharing agreement for south of Highway 50 averages about 32% of the 1% ad valorem tax. So the city's actually receiving more of the property tax in the new agreement than we're receiving from previous agreements north of 50. And then question 2, our city manager is going to address.
Great. Thank you, Stacy. The statement is the city should fix the sales tax sharing with the county through state lobbying efforts. It's a lot of changes have occurred just how people shop. And, with the advent of distribution centers, the cities that have distribution centers are actually seeing significant windfalls, in the millions of dollars. And so there's the discussion between the cities of origin and destination. And so currently under the California Bradley-Burns Uniform Local Sales Tax, the local sales tax 1% is typically allocated to the origin location, meaning the city that houses the distribution fulfillment center where the sale occurs. Examples, sales shipped from Amazon Fulfillment in Fresno flow directly to Fresno City's coffers. So that's not helpful for us. But to answer the question, hey, what are we doing about it? Well, we're part of Cal Cities, and we actually are lobbying for change. There's a working group that's been involved with this for the last two and a half years, and it's a pretty challenging discussion because you have city managers from cities that have distribution centers and city managers that don't have those, and so you have folks that have to give up something to those who are not getting it. And so it looks like I was actually in a meeting just recently where they shared the draft proposal, and so that's going through other iterations, and hopefully ultimately we'll be able to have the legislature take a look at that and make a change. So bottom line is we don't have the solution yet, but we're actively working on it.
Thank you. Question 3, how much is our CalPERS unfunded accrue liability costing us? And when can we expect that to level off with our current policies? So this chart here shows our current cost for fiscal year 25-26. The unfunded liability cost will be about $18 million overall for our miscellaneous and safety plan. You see it growing and peaking at about 2030-31, and then slowly starting to come back down. And I have it here in this chart, just in case somebody's more visual this way, peaking there in the middle for fiscal year 30-31, and then starting to level back out. So that's when we can expect it to peak, but up until then, we are likely to see growing contributions until then.
And Stacy, we're still paying the unfunded part in a lump sum every year to get a little bit of savings, as before we were paying it quarterly or monthly or something.
Correct. We pay that in July to save on the interest, and we'll continue to do that as long as we have the cash available to do it.
Thank you.
Question 4.
Stacy, before we go to question 4, can we go back to question 3 real quick? Just because the other thing is this employee or retiree health obligation that's there. And I know I've seen this chart for that, but since you guys are recommending that we don't contribute to that, when does that start to level off our payments?
That's a little further out.
Okay.
But that one also has a date when we'll no longer have an obligation at all, because it is a closed plan. So that's different than CalPERS, which is ongoing as long as we continue to have new employees receive that benefit.
Is it in the 2020s, 2030s, or 2040s? Do you kind of know that off the top of your head?
It's the late 2030s when it would level off, but it will continue for at least 30 years, so that we'll still have that liability.
Okay.
Maybe closer to 50. I mean, we have some fairly young employees that are eligible for that benefit, and until they're no longer in the plan, we will have
life
it.
expectancy. They may live to be 150 too, you know.
Okay. Question 4, what's our funding ratio look like compared to other municipalities and agencies? So this is how funded are we in the plan? So we're at the top here. For miscellaneous, we're at about 64%. For safety, 61-ish. We compare most closely to Roseville, which is sort of in the middle of the chart because they're also an older city that has a lot of employees that have been in the plan for quite a while. You'll see that some of the newer cities that incorporated more recently are better funded because they don't have those bigger obligations that our older cities have. So Roseville, for their miscellaneous, is right about where we're at, 62%, and they're a little better funded for their safety at 67%. But you can see some of these plans up towards 80, 87% in the newer cities. And we also do have some cities that are making additional discretionary payments towards their accrued liability, which the city of Folsom isn't doing right now. Question 5, how much of our general fund money comes from state and federal government? So this chart shows what we include in intergovernmental revenue. We have $13 to $14 million the last 2 years. These are the last 2 audits. So the main part of it is our vehicle license fee, the property tax swap. That's about $9 to $10 million, and that continues to grow as the assessed values go up because that is linked to property tax. American Rescue Plan Act revenue, we've had about $2.5 million each year, but once that money's gone, that will no longer be there. So all other intergovernmental revenue, $1.7 million or so, that's about 1.5% of our general fund in total. So not a significant amount compared to other revenue sources. Question 6, regarding the increase in the Police Investigations Division 2113 proposed budget on page 6 of that summary there was an increase of about $800,000 over last year's adopted and amended budget. What proposed expenses accounted for this large increase? So if you were going through the details within the budget document, you could see that there was a $800,000 increase in that division overall. So the increase was partially related to salary, benefit, and insurance cost increases, but also there were 3 positions that were moved from one division to another. So no increase to their overall budget, just moving it from one division to another within the department to put them in the right spot. Question number 7, are the lighting and landscape districts still included in the pie chart in the Parks and Recreation budget, thereby showing a huge deficit between revenues and expenses for the department? So yes, the Municipal Landscaping Division, which is Division 3805, includes staff to maintain the lighting and landscape districts, CFD maintenance areas, but it also includes many other general fund functions. And it is shown in the Parks and Recreation budget in the pie chart. But the division costs are partially offset by revenue that comes in from the districts and from the CFDs in order to cover those administrative costs. And we see those as transfers in revenue. Question number 8. Why is income from the rental spaces not shown as income for Parks and Recreation since those sites are managed by Parks and Recreation? And so the response to this one is that the revenue is allocated to Parks and Recreation indirectly. The Parks and Recreation Department does have a general fund contribution. They don't have full cost recovery, so they are having revenue sources that are paying for some of their operation. And so the rental space revenue or cell tower revenue makes up part of that contribution to fully fund that department. Question 9, what is the ratio of hot team to the number of reported homeless in the city? The police department response was that the city's homeless outreach team is staffed by 3. And so based on the last point of time count that was conducted, it's estimated that there are 22 individuals per hot member. And this is a daily moving target as that number can fluctuate significantly based on a number of different variables. And our last question here, how does the budget reflect adherence to the current strategic plan? So the strategic plan includes kind of overarching goals. Goal A, financial stability and sustainability. Goal B, public safety and infrastructure. Goal C, economic and community development. And Goal D, organization and effectiveness. And this budget does seek to meet the goal of financial stability and sustainability. We're proposing no additional general fund positions or program enhancements when we're faced with a deficit. And in addition, this budget supports Goal B, public safety and infrastructure, by keeping public safety services at their current level and investing in some infrastructure maintenance using one-time funds. And now I'll turn it back over to our city manager.
Great, thank you, Stacy. So unfortunately, with the current budget shortfall, we won't be able to continue to operate in this way. With the proposed cuts, there's still a projected $3.04 million shortfall in the general fund for 25-26. So ultimately, to live within our means, we're going to have to find a way to reduce our expenditures, which will ultimately translate into reductions in services. So we're proposing that the council adopt a budget that uses general fund reserves for the fiscal year 25-26 budget. However, going forward, we will aggressively pursue options to reduce costs and services in preparation for the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget that starts on July 1st, 2026. I would also like to highlight things that we're not going to wait for July 1 of 2026 to look at. We will be coming back to the council looking at our properties. What can we do with those? Some of the things that we can do is working with nonprofits and others that may have an interest in these community assets. Are they better capable of maintaining them in a way that still allows for the community to be a part of it? So I would say that it's not necessarily the city's giving up a community asset if it's still maintained so that the community can benefit from the asset. And so those are things that we'll talk about. We've also, reached out. Mayor Aquino helped get me connected with the wardens so that we can look at possibly bringing back the prison labor force so that they provide significant benefits along our trails and parkways and median strips and all those sorts of things. So re-engaging that effort. Another one-time item is having the housing fund reimburse the city for the sale of the Percifer property. That would be a one-time thing, but we're going to look at everything that we need to look at. We'll look at, is there a way that, are there vacancies currently that are funded positions that we just need to make the decision that we're not going to be able to fund those and not going to be able to offer the services that are associated with those positions. And then another thing that we'll have to consider is, would it be appropriate to form kind of a citizen advisory body to kind of look at this? I value the community's input. It's been just last night I got an email and then dropped off today a handwritten note from members of the community saying, hey, what about this? What about that? I mean, I really appreciate the time. I mean, they had to spend a significant amount of time to handwrite, salary schedules and positions and identifying in their mind what was a vital service and what was non-vital. And so I'm optimistic from the standpoint that this community cares. And a community that cares about itself is going to find a way to overcome some of these challenges. So with that, I mean, we may be feeling a little bit of despair, but I think as we embrace the challenge, as we embrace the things that we'll have to look into, that we will find a way to make things better. And ultimately, the community will get to choose whether it continues this path of reduction, whether it looks at ways to invest in itself, but I'm confident we'll come up with a positive way. All right, is that the last slide? Okay, so with that, I'd be happy to answer any question. Our team's available as well.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Rathel, any questions?
Yeah, I just have one, and I do appreciate you putting the questions that were asked up there. I think that was great because I don't necessarily see the other questions that come in, so I really did appreciate that presentation. One of the questions I asked last time was about the large capital transfers that are going to fire and police, and we got the answer from fire that they were 10-year-old ECGs that are being, that are basically the maintenance costs have exceeded their replacement costs. And they were, really, we couldn't pass them up. We couldn't push them down the road another year. I asked the same question on the police vehicles, but I haven't really gotten a response on that one yet. I did get a list of the police fleet. I've kind of looked into that. I don't see a pressing need. I understand long term we have to replace police vehicles. I totally get that. But in this time where we're going to approve a budget $3 million in the red, do we need 5 more new police vehicles on the road, or do we have some new police vehicles that we already are sitting there, which it looks like they do on the sheet that was sent to me from the fleet? Like if we have new vehicles that we can put into service, and we have enough vehicles that we can have out on patrol and doing all the things we do, why are we buying more cars this year? I'm not advocating that we cut off this fund going forward. I'm just saying, why in this year where we're going to approve a $3 million fund do we really need to make that expense this year?
Great. Appreciate the question. So, I agree. I appreciate the efforts to kind of provide the information. And I think what's really cool about this process, as we get the questions, it allows us to do kind of a self-assessment. And as we've reviewed kind of the spreadsheets and others, that maybe there's some room for improvement as far as our data collection and tracking what the vehicles are doing. Because I think even in that spreadsheet, and they acknowledge this when they sent it to us, that they didn't have necessarily all the up-to-date information. So one of the reasons why I would suggest that we keep this funding moved over into that capital replacement fund is when we have a fleet of over 100 vehicles and you estimate they have 5 to 7 years of useful life, that you're going to, over time, have to replace a certain number of vehicles every year. Why I think it's a good idea to leave it in here also is it doesn't mean we are going to spend it, right? I mean, so in some sense, you're saving that for a reserve, but it's just in the capital fund. So we have the ability if we need to. So I look at this as kind of a way for us to take the challenge that we need to improve some of our fleet monitoring and being able to explain more definitively what the costs are for deferring the purchase. And if we can demonstrate value, then we would come back to the council to actually exercise the right to purchase those vehicles. So if you were to adopt this budget as it stands, it's simply, authorizing us to allocate this for expenditure, but we would make the commitment that if we're going forward with some fleet purchases, that we would come back to the council to have that conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm comfortable with that approach. It is going to come back here anyway. I really hesitate, and I just kind of want to put it out there. If it does come back, it's got to be, we actually really, really do need those, because I think my focus is on, and I think we've heard this from our staff, we have a lot of vacancies in the police department, and that's where our focus should be. And I get it that equipment is important and we want people to have really great equipment that's running, but I'd rather have another officer on the street and fill one of those vacancies than I would rather than to have him in a brand new car, him or her in a brand new car. So just want to throw that out there. I feel the same way also about the non-safety vehicles. If it's something we can put off for a year, we can put off. I struggle a little bit with putting off our retiree health obligation. This is $100 million in debt that we've been passed down from previous residents. That's the reality here. And so we're continuing to pass that buck on to future residents of Folsom and our kids if they move back here. We have large PERS obligations and large employee retirement health obligations. And so, choosing to buy new things while also saying we're not going to pay our past debts, I just can't, I understand it's new. I can't support that for very long. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. I'd rather us have older things and be paying off our debts and paying to those liabilities that we've accrued.
Vice Mayor Raytho brings up a good point. If you don't mind, if I just kind of interject about, we are actually making the required payments for the retiree health, much like the PERS. So the goal of that retiree health fund is that hopefully we would be able to get it to the size where the interest proceeds each year would actually make the payment. but we're still making the payment. I mean, it's a significant contribution. And Stacy, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we're making the current contribution for the current retirees.
Okay.
But what you're talking about, and it's true, is that for for employees that are going to receive that benefit in the future, we're not paying for that now. And so that's where the savings would come into place, to be contributing to that, so that future residents aren't paying that bill later for retirees that they're not receiving the service from. And so that's the point of the trust fund, is to be paying for that now while those residents are receiving services from those current employees.
Great.
Understood. Thank you.
Councilmember Kozlowski, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Rohrbach?
I have one question, and then I have comments for later. Yeah. Did you have a chance, or is it in the plan to put a key in there that we talked about? You know, like you know what I'm talking about?
We didn't make that update now, but that would be in a future document.
You're talking about for the funds, like?
Yeah, that's obviously,
Yes.
that's not going to be, it's not going to be a condition of me passing or not passing the budget.
But it is a work in progress that ultimately we'll be able to have it. Our goal is to make it more and more decipherable for anyone who looks at it.
Perfect.
So, yes.
That's the only question.
Councilmember Leary?
I wanted to follow up with one of Vice Mayor Rathel's comments, regarding selection of cars or other, capital items. And that is sort of setting some guidelines for what kind of selections we make to ensure that we have a good pricing on the items that are being purchased, but that they have, perhaps a longer life, less maintenance, et cetera. And, I'm particularly thinking in terms of the automobiles for the police department. I think there's been great success with the electric vehicles to date. And we had some discussion about what you had going on in Oakdale in terms of reducing maintenance costs and costs for fuel with electric vehicles. And so, and this goes across the board in terms of, parks equipment or, ambulance equipment, any department that's looking at purchasing something that we will need longer term. If we're going to be setting some standards for how we make those determinations, rather than going with, well, we've always had this, so we're going forward with the same kind of materials.
And if I may, related to just things that I think would be worth exploring, much like with the conversation with the electric garbage trucks. Although that's not necessarily proven in the patrol sector, there are types of vehicles that I've personally been involved with, like the Ford Mach-E's, that have actually performed very well for our officers, that have proven very reliable. We have about a 3 or 4 year test of those, and the gasoline or the fuel savings was pretty significant, that you could almost pay for a vehicle if you had a fleet of 5 over a period of time with the savings. So those are things that I think are would that work here in Folsom? I don't know. I need to talk to the police department as far as, the hours that they run and the distances that they run. In our particular situation, in a 12-hour shift, they wouldn't drive more than 100 miles. If our folks are driving far more than that, then maybe it won't work, but possibly it can. But I think one of the points that we'd like to make to the council and to the community is we're going to look at any possible option to try to reduce our costs and to become more efficient.
Thank you. And then the other couple of items I had was, with those projected incomes, did those take into consideration all of the recent fees that we've raised pretty much across the board for Parks and Rec and facility rentals, community development fees?
I don't think it incorporated all the fees that were just implemented. I mean, we try to use kind of prudent projections. We don't want to take a too aggressive approach on revenues. We'd rather project lower than expected and then be surprised at the end. But Stacey, any comments on that?
It included most of the community development fees, because they were the ones that were adopted earlier. For the new zoo fee, it does not include that. we're not sure what the use will be, at a higher rate. So we'll be able to incorporate that in maybe in a mid-year adjustment if it does come in a lot higher than what was projected in the budget.
Right.
And facility rental fees.
Yeah,
I think those were
and so
incorporated
in some ways, this highlights the benefits of having kind of a look at this again in September, October, and then February, because we don't want to just, what was the term, set it and forget it. I mean, we want to go in and take a look at it and see if in September, October, if the trend is performing better than expected or worse, because then we may have to come back to the council and say, we need to make adjustments. Because I don't want to go through the whole year and say, oh man, we were off and there's nothing you can do about it. I'd rather get through a quarter or so and say, hey, it's not necessarily projecting as we need to. Let's hit the pause button on whatever it is and just have an open discussion about it.
And then some of the rental, or not rental, excuse me, the revenue projections still don't include the numbers for June 30th for the end of the year. Is that correct? Or are you put up the best estimates for that?
The projections for fiscal year 24-25 are our best estimates. They are the ones that the city council received in our most recent quarterly report. And then we'll have final numbers, once we have those.
So I appreciate, this process of taking a look at this now and then reevaluating this in 2 to 3 months, because there's been a lot of focus on cuts, but we need to focus on increasing our revenue, and I think we have a lot of opportunities. It's unfortunate that our TOT taxes remain somewhat flat, but I think we have a lot of opportunities for making things better for future budgets. Just want to leave that on a positive note. Okay. I'm feeling more positive about it. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a couple requests to speak.
Okay, our first speaker will be Jag Nagendra, who will be followed by Bill Barcelona.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and city staff. My name is Jag Nagendra. I'm a Folsom resident. And in my day job, I manage a multi-million-dollar budget for the California Department of Water Resources, managing the water and hydropower infrastructure. The projected general fund deficit of 3.4, now it's 3.038 million, is concerning, especially alongside the persistent shortfalls in our landscaping and lighting districts. These L&L deficits have persisted for years, and it's time to stop the kick the can down the road approach. The longer we delay structural solutions, the harder and more expensive it will be to fix. Residents deserve clarity, sustainability, and results-oriented action, not just temporary fixes and deferred decisions. While overall proposed expenses are down 1.68% from last year, they are still 6.24% higher than 2023-24 actuals. Under today's budget pressures, we must proactively identify more cost-saving opportunities. Some proposed expense budgets categories show major shifts that warrant a closer look. For example, park development is down 16% from last year, but it's up 133% compared to 2023 and 24 actuals. Similarly, municipal landscaping is proposed to be reduced by 30.5%, a significant drop compared to prior years. The question is, what impact will this have on residents? Are these cuts aligned with city's long-term priorities? Cost-saving strategies like a long-term vendor agreements can offer immediate and long-range benefits. In my current leadership role at the State Department, I recently negotiated a 5-year enterprise contract with a vendor. The annual cost of maintenance was $2.1 million. By signing a 5-year contract, I brought down the cost to $1.5 million, which is $500,000 annual saving over a period of 5 years, $2.5 million in my own office. Strategic thinking like this at the enterprise level can and should be applied to municipal decisions and operations where high-value contracts often represent opportunities for significant savings. On the revenue side, I am also concerned about the projected decline in the sales tax. With thousands of new residents moving into Folsom Ranch, we should expect increased local spending. If we are not seeing that reflected in these projections, it deserves further analysis. As a concerned resident with deep experience in infrastructure and fiscal planning, I urge the council to take a closer multi-year view of both revenue and spending. The long-term strength of Folsom depends on disciplined and transparent financial management now more than ever. Thank you for your time and continued service to our city.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Bill Barcelona. Did he leave?
Did he leave?
Bill, did you leave?
It's like he left.
All
Okay.
right. You have no further request to speak.
Okay. If there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we adopt Resolution 11401.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
So can we have
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Well, I don't have any questions, but I do want to make some comments
Okay.
just to mess with you. Just kind of about the process. There was a lot of feedback online and through emails and everything. And I do want to thank the staff for putting those questions up. I agree with Vice Mayor Rathel that that was very helpful for us to see it again, even though we've seen some of the answers in emails and in person. But thank you for that. I think there's a lot of assumption that the city isn't making any changes because we're using the reserves in a different way this year, but that would be wrong. There's been a lot of changes happening throughout the backside of this, as our city manager has articulated, and so has our finance director several times. A different way of accounting for things. There's no confusion in the budget. Brian has changed the process of accounting for true expenses. And if any of you have watched previous budget discussions since I've been here at least, this has been a much welcome change. We're going to be holding every department accountable for the budget that we actually pass, basically not allowing the city to go over budget without council approval. And that's been something that has been that I've been talking about for the last several years. I think this will create more accountability and most importantly, more transparency going forward. One of the things that Brian has talked about continually is having a discussion in September, October, when we do have that true accounting of where our revenue is, instead of making multi-year decisions based on a projected revenue, we can have an actual revenue, and I think that will be very helpful and transparent. I've pushed to have mid-year budget reviews since I've been on council as well, and now it's becoming a common occurrence, and it's proposed to be a common occurrence, and I think that's very, very important. This will again allow us to get a true accounting of where we are actually at the end of the year, not just with revenues, but also with expenses. What I would like to discuss in the next several months, as Brian has mentioned, is a priority discussion involving what we believe is our core competencies and essential services. We briefly started it in the budget workshop, but I think the council really needs to sit down as a group and really talk about these. And then two is what we, I can't remember, what we value, what we believe our community values as a community, and what that priority is, and what we are willing to subsidize and what we might have to let go of. These are difficult conversations, but we don't want to pass a budget next year that we're having to pull from reserves. So there are going to be difficult conversations, but I think there's other things that we can talk about is revenue generators. I think it was Councilmember Leary that mentioned the transient occupancy tax. Looking at that, are we in alignment with the rest of the region or rest of the cities around our region? Engage in our economic development plan that we invested in and was revealed to us on September 10th last year in 2024. There's so many good ideas in there and low-hanging fruits that we could activate. And I've heard several times tonight, I think, lease out and look at our properties and figure out what we can lease out, what we can use community groups. I think Brian just mentioned this, as far as them coming along and taking it over, keeping it a city amenity benefiting our public, but maybe run through another company that can handle it better, or our organization. And I feel all of these things is going to create more stability within our city. I think as the accounting goes through this next year, and you're seeing maybe more appropriations made through the council decisions in front of you versus behind the scenes, I think is going to create more trust. And I think that we have a bright year ahead of us, but it's going to be difficult as well. So those are my comments.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on that. And I noticed that Brian had put an item on to the budget for doing another community survey. And I did want to bring up that there were community surveys done in 21, 22, and the last one was reported in June 28th in 2023 that showed not only a high degree of civic engagement, but at those times on all three of those surveys, that top priorities were public safety and the parks and recreation programs that the city has in place, including, the parks facilities and all. And I do have a lot of concern about either leasing out or selling some of these properties. I think they're encumbered with particular agreements with the Quimby Act, where the land was donated to the city for use by the residents and not as a private enterprise for someone to not only make money on, but, perhaps supplant some of the services that are already provided by staff. And if we're talking about selling lands, there's also I think I'm forgetting the correct term, but the, excess property challenges where those have to be put out to develop as low-income housing. So some of these options are constrained. And those are obviously going to take more deep discussions with the community about what's going on. So just wanted to get that out there. I think we have a lot of possibilities here, and I hope that the community will continue to remain engaged because we have had a lot of good questions, and I appreciate you answering all of the questions I've sent to you over the last few weeks. Thanks.
Not yet, Krista. Okay, Vice Mayor Rathel.
I just want to make a few comments, and I really appreciate the approach this year. I appreciate the push toward more communication and more transparency, specifically around the different funds that are there. So I think the accounting was already there, but the presentation and the communication about it, the visibility has definitely increased this year, and it's led to a healthier discussion about specific ways that we are spending taxpayer dollars. So the good part about that is there are a number of counts in here in this book, though, that show we've got cash in the bank. Looking at Capital Facilities Fund 602 here, for example, we've got $3.6 million to invest back into our community out of this fund that had cash on the books in the bank, and we have a number of those funds. So just because the general fund that handles all the operational expenses doesn't have those, some of those one-time funds will be available, I think, for strategic investments or replacements that are there. So I'm encouraged by that. I also think that we have a lot of very smart, very involved and engaged citizens in our community. And so the more we can move to a more open financial process, the more we can take advantage of those analytical and accounting brains that are out there that do challenge those assumptions. At the end of the day, this isn't the city manager's budget. This isn't the city council's budget. This is the residents of the city of Folsom, our budget. And the more input we can give on what we prioritize down to the line item, I think that we end up with a better product. So I'm looking forward to the process over the next year of really being able to have that detail and having those. It's really a discussion of priorities to me. It's not that, oh, we shouldn't have spent the money here, or we shouldn't spend it here. It's looking forward and saying, do our line item expenditures match what we feel are our community priorities? And if not, we change them. And we have that discussion publicly and openly, and we make our best decisions going forward. So thank you all for everyone that participated in the process. And thank you especially to staff for all the work that's gone into this. It's been a huge lift this year. You guys have done a great job.
All right. Thank you very much for all the comments. We have a motion and a second.
Councilmembers Rohrbaugh,
Yes.
Kozlowski.
Yes.
Leary.
Yes.
Raythel.
Yes.
And Aquino.
Yes, thank you very much. That takes us to city manager report.
Great, just a few updates. We're pleased to announce that the Folsom Parks and Recreation Department is planning a renovation of the iconic Folsom Kids Play Park, known as Castle Park, located at 201 Pruitt Drive. The city will be hosting 2 community workshops to gather public input and ideas to help guide the redesign of this beloved space. Both workshops will be held at the Folsom Middle School Multipurpose Room. The first one is on Thursday, June 26th at 5:30 p.m. That'll be a kickoff meeting to introduce the project, collect memories and ideas, and begin assembling a list of community build volunteers. And then on Monday, July 14th at 5:30 p.m., it's the design day where children and adults can draw their dream playground and share their ideas to help inspire the final design. We also have work continues on the water infrastructure improvements and utility upgrades on East Bidwell. So that'll start in late June and continue through the summer. So what you can expect is work hours Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., lane restrictions and traffic delays. I apologize in advance for that. Increased noise during work hours. Then we also have Folsom's annual water quality report is now available. The City of Folsom's 2024 Consumer Confidence Report confirms that the city's drinking water continues to meet or exceed all state and federal quality standards. You can view that at www.folsom.ca.us/CCR. Let's see. Just a reminder to celebrate safely and legally this year. It's the fireworks season, and the City of Folsom will be enforcing a social host ordinance with a $1,000 fine for using or allowing illegal fireworks on your property. Calls for service spike on July 4th, so please reserve 911 for emergencies only, such as fires, injuries, or immediate threats. To report illegal fireworks, you can send an email to fireworks@folsom.ca.us or call the Folsom Police non-emergency line at 916-461-6400 and then option 1. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Kozlowski?
I hope everybody will join me and the other council members that will be there for the hometown parade on Saturday morning. It's great fun. And then at the rodeo next week, I'll be there all 3 days. You'll be able to find me because I probably will have a cowboy hat on and some cowboy boots.
So will everyone else.
Yeah. I'll blend right in like Waldo.
Vice Mayor Raythel?
No further comments. Thank you.
Councilmember Rohrbaugh?
Yeah, I just want to, the chief has left, as he should have, but his gauntlet is on Friday at 3:30. So anyone that wants to attend that, any public people, just that's all I want to say is thank you to Chief Hillman for all the time. Since 1995, he's been in Folsom, and since 2018, the chief, and I'm just really grateful that he was here when I started, and I send him off with cheers.
Thank you. Councilmember Leary?
I just want to thank all of the staff for all of the work across the board, not just Stacy and Brian, who had to lead the charge here on putting this budget together, but every department head's put a lot of work into this, and I'm looking forward to some more information and probably putting the material together in a format that the not only all of us up here, but that the public can understand a little bit better. And we've had that discussion. I appreciate your willingness to work on that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just have one thing. We had a resident who came, I believe it was earlier this year, and asked us to amend an ordinance to increase the number of chickens allowed in the city for a resident. I would like to bring that back, and so we can have a conversation about either increasing the number you can have or repealing the ordinance altogether. So I will talk to the city manager about that. So it is 9:13 and we are adjourned. Thank you.
You check it.